Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here. Today we are very early. I don't imagine a lot of people will be joining right now, but hopefully more people stream in as we go along. But we're gonna be very early today. It's actually 6 hours before the deadline. By the way, I hope you guys can hear me okay. I kind of changed the mic setup a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna stream for about, I think, 3 to 4 hours. We'll see how long we can go for because it's not gonna be the deadline anytime soon. Like 6 hours is quite a bit of time. So we'll stream for about 3 to 4 hours, hoping that we will be able to hit 10,000 subscribers. So that is the aim for today. Let's see if we can get there. And very nice to see already some of you guys in the chat nice and early. Thank you for coming down. Nicholas, thanks for being ever present. Road to 10k, yes, we are on the road to 10k. Hopefully we can get there. Best free hit team for this week. I would imagine you have a lot of premiums in midfield. I haven't actually looked at a free hit team for this week. But yeah, this is what we're gonna do for today, right? So we're gonna stream for 3 to 4 hours, talk through a couple of dilemmas that we have for game week 11. For the time being, this is how my team looks like. And yeah, I mean, since there's not many people in the chat yet, let me just go through roughly how my team is looking like and also some of my thoughts going into the deadline. I don't imagine we get a lot of information on the players that we want to target. For example, Palmer, Haaland. I don't think we get news on them because they are the later kind of games. Palmer only plays tomorrow if he does, and then Haaland is one of the later kickoffs. But you know, we'll see what we get closer to the deadline. But if not, for now I have Flecken, Aina, Trent, and Gabriel. In terms of the defenders, I don't think I will start Rico Lewis, even though it seems as if my guess is that he probably won't start. But looking at the injuries that Man City have at this point in the defensive department, seems as if maybe there's also a small chance Rico Lewis could be asked to start again. So we don't really know. And I don't want to get that one pointer off the bench for him. So he's second on the bench for me for now. Aina, Trent, as well as Gabriel, all in my starting 11. And then for my midfielders is Mbumo, Johnson, Palmer, and Semenyo. The main issue here, I guess, or issue, is the lack of Salah. But I don't think I would go so far as to take a hit to sell Haaland and just to fund that Salah move in midfield. So for now, the time being, I still have Haaland as my captain, and then Cunha and Chris Wood either side of him, and also Morgan Rogers first on the bench. So for now, this is what it's looking like. As I've said in the team selection video, I don't think I will be using a transfer. It's either I take a hit and I sell Haaland, or I just roll my transfer to have 2 free transfers in game week 12. So for now, that's the plan. And yeah, I don't imagine it would change as we go along. For now, I'm quite certain that I will keep on to Erling Haaland. Alright, so more of you guys coming in from the chat. Very nice to see you. Yeah, drop it in the chat if you guys are watching. Let me know where you guys are watching from, because seems as if we have quite a bit of an international audience. So Lou from Singapore, very nice to see you. Nicholas says the times for the matches this week are so weird. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, Liverpool are playing so late at night. Like, if we are actually to watch it, like I am in Singapore, so if I'm actually to watch it, it's 4 a.m. here, so I have no idea how we're gonna watch that. But let's see. Hello from Poland. Nice to see you. Jacob, evening from New Zealand. Or imagine then in that case the Liverpool game would probably be early in the morning for you. Son or Saka? Son or Saka? If I'm to buy one this week, I would probably... it sounds a bit crazy, but I think I would just go straight for Saka. I don't think I would go for Son first and then sell him to go for Saka later on. I think it's a bit of a waste of a transfer. Omar says, would you have sold Haaland for Salah if you had 2 free transfers? This is a great question. I had to think about it, and a couple of the members in the Discord also asked me about this question. I think the main issue that I have with selling Haaland this week and going for Salah is that it foils a bit of my plans moving forward. Like the initial plan that I've always had going into game week 11 was that I would save my transfer, and then in game week 12 I'm going to sell Johnson for Salah. So if I'm to do that, if I'm to do it now in game week 11, I have to keep Johnson. I can't sell Johnson because Johnson has Ipswich. So I have to sell someone that I don't really want to sell, which is either one of Semenyo or Rogers. And if I'm to do it this week, it'll likely be Rogers. But what I really like is also the rotation between Rogers, Semenyo, and Chris Wood. And also at the price point that they're at, like I don't mind keeping them for a while more. So it does foil my plans a little bit. So even if I had 2 free transfers, which again is a great question, I may not even just do that move. Like I may still want to stick with my plan and only do it in game week 12 when Salah has Southampton. So great question. I had a bit of think about it, leaning towards no as well. Vincent, nice to see you. Member in the chat. Start Raya or Fabianski. I think this one is close. It also comes down to your thoughts on Arsenal and how well they will do against Chelsea. If you think that Arsenal will concede against Chelsea and you already have someone like Gabriel in your defense, I might be more keen to just diversify a little bit and have Fabianski there. Not that by any means is it secure that Fabianski is going to get a clean sheet. The West Ham defense is pretty poor as well. But yeah, I think it depends also on Cole Palmer's situation. Like if he starts, I think there's of course an even greater chance that Arsenal will concede. So yeah, I think we need a bit more information. Not that I think we'll get it. Hopefully we hear something about Palmer. I think everyone is waiting on Palmer news if we do get any. Good idea to captain Mbumo. I don't mind it. He's my vice captain. I just say that the Bournemouth defense is not bad at all. Like I've looked at the numbers. They have kept a number of clean sheets this season, particularly at home. I think away from home they are slightly weaker. But yeah, I mean, Mbumo and Brentford at home generally a very strong side in terms of the attack, so I don't mind him as a captain. But he wouldn't be one of the first few names that I think about. Like I'd even have someone like Son ahead of Mbumo, despite the risk of minutes. Hello from Toronto, nice to see you, Omar. You just start Rogers if Palmer leaks come out, right? Watching from the Maldives, very very nice. If Palmer misses out, I think I'll just start Rogers instead, and I would probably just go with a little bit less of an optimal team this week, but I think I'm fine with that because it seems as if this Palmer situation is affecting quite a number of people, and the bench options this week generally aren't that great. Like I would imagine some people have Rogers. Maybe you have your 4th defender that you generally don't want to play. So I don't think it's that bad of a situation if I need to start Rogers instead of Palmer. Obviously in the case that Palmer misses out. Naran, nice to see you. Ryan says Mbumo or Fernandes. If I'm to captain one, I think I lean towards captaining Fernandes. Mike says greetings from the UK. Lewis for Aït-Nouri or roll the transfer. It depends if you need to start Lewis. If you are starting Rico Lewis, I don't mind just making that transfer right now. Kulusevski or Bruno Fernandes? Bruno Fernandes. Rogers or Semenyo? I would start Semenyo ahead of Rogers. Yeah, games are always early morning for us, yeah. I would imagine that. If it's late at night there, I do imagine the games are early morning. Naren says, I have a similar draft like you, and I too think Haaland will do something this week. I have 2 free transfers. Suggest me a 1-week punt so that I can get Salah in the following weeks. I think the idea as well of 1-week punts, I feel, is I guess less of a thing this season, because the fact is that you can roll your transfers through even your wild card. So I don't think the ideology that applied last season, which is that if you are nearing your wild card and you have a couple of free transfers and you're going to lose them when you wild card, then that was where the kind of 1-week punts or 2-week punts kind of came about. But now that you can roll your transfers, I don't think 1 week punts are really a thing. Like, I don't mind just holding it through and keeping your transfers through your wildcard. That could even be more advantageous, to be honest. But if I'm to take a 1 week punt this week, I think I don't mind going for someone like Son, to be honest. Saka or Palmer. If I'm buying one this week, I wouldn't buy Palmer, I'll buy Saka. Jelly dude, nice to see you in the chat, a member as well. Hope Palmer plays, yeah, I hope he plays too. I mean, it's Liverpool away for Rodgers. Palmer has Arsenal at home. I definitely prefer Palmer, but it's not like the fixture is that much better as well. Should I take a -4 next game week to get Salah? If you're taking a -4 next week to get Salah, then I think you just take it this week. Palmer does not do well against the big teams. Yeah, I've seen this narrative. I've seen this narrative going around. But last season he did so well against the big teams though. Bruno or Foden as a 1 week punt. If it's a 1 week punt, Bruno. Toby, nice to see you in the chat. Let's go. Should I choose Haaland, same as you, to maintain my points, or choose Salah captain to overtake you? I think it's close. This week is close, especially for those of you guys with both Salah and Haaland. It is very, very close. Let's put up a captaincy poll and see how it does as we go along. Who is your Game Week 11 captain? I'll put Salah first. Haaland. Let's put Son in there and Mbumo as well. And then for the last place, let's have other. Alright, so let me know in the poll who is your captain for Game Week 11. Golden Goal, nice to see you in the chat. Let's go, 10k incoming. Yes, we are gonna try and hit 10k. I actually have no idea like how many we are on at the moment. We are, let me just pull up the screen. Alright, we are on 9,825 subs. So we'll see if we can get there. With how long I'm going to stream for, hopefully we'll be able to get there. I'm targeting about 3 to 4 hours, so we'll see what happens. It is early though. It is still very, very early. I have Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the bench. So something interesting that I saw about Dominic Calvert-Lewin is, let me show you this clip on Twitter. I think I saw it from Baker from Above Average FPL. It's basically a clip of Dominic Calvert-Lewin not being in training. So let me see if I can find it. I don't remember where I saw it. Can't find it now. Alright, basically I saw a clip on Twitter. I can't seem to find it right now. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin not in training apparently, like based on that clip. So I do think, like, I mean, either ways there was always a quote from Sean Dyche where he was saying something about Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Beto and competing for that number 9 spot, and he was saying it was closer right now based on their current kind of form, that it's not a given that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is going to start every single game. But also when I read the quote, I don't think it's going to be the case where Calvert-Lewin is immediately going to lose his spot. So I still think if he's fit, he's probably going to start. But because I saw a clip on Twitter, which I can't find right now, I'll try to find it as we go along. But yeah, that says he's not in training. I think you could very well just use this as a bit of an excuse to just bin him. Assuming you're rolling to get Salah next game week, what is your long-term plan for Rico Lewis? He's probably still going to be a bench option for me. My 2 free transfers next week are going to be spent selling Haaland and getting Salah. So I don't think I have enough transfers to deal with Rico Lewis. So that's a good spot. I think I may just have to either play him, which is not ideal. But in any case, I still have Aina. But if not, I think the next time I can actually deal with Rico Lewis is after game week 12, like game week 13 onwards. Start Rico Lewis or Mykolenko, and which cheap defender would you buy? I think I would start Mykolenko, because I think there's quite a bit of risk with Rico Lewis. Keep Dominic Calvert-Lewin or use 1 free transfer to bring in Strand Larsen. I probably lean towards selling Calvert-Lewin, if I'm honest. That early in Germany, it's not even 9 o'clock. Yeah, we are starting early today. We're early today and we're gonna go long today. We're gonna go for about 3 to 4 hours. Haaland or Salah from game week 12 onwards. So I think something interesting is that I had a look at the Salah fixtures. Let me just pull them up. Or the Liverpool fixtures rather. And realistically speaking, in the next, right, say all the way up till game week 17, for example, right? How many times would you be captaining Salah? Like, alright, if you're captaining him in game week 11, and say you captain him in game week 12 as well, 13 and 14, I don't imagine you would be captaining him. In game week 15, yes, he has Everton, but I do think like this could be a difficult fixture for them because the Merseyside derby is always a heated affair, regardless of how Everton are playing right now. And in those game weeks, in game week 15, I'm pretty sure that Cole Palmer as well as the other premiums have better fixtures than Salah against Everton away. And then Fulham at home, it's not super easy as well. And then Spurs away, I don't think you'd captain Salah. So I honestly think that over the next few game weeks, it's possible that we don't captain Salah for that many game weeks. In which case, I also start to question myself whether should I just stick with Haaland and I guess go a bit different, because right now everyone is selling Haaland. Could I just keep Haaland and use him as a bit of a differential to the engaged managers who are all kind of binning Haaland right now? So I think a large part of this decision will also come down to Man City and whether they come back into form, whether they are able to deal with the issues that they have at the moment. Because currently, now I say this, and when I hear it as well, it sounds a bit crazy because Man City are just not performing at the level that we know that they can. But soon things would turn around. And if I hold on to him, I would be ahead of those people who are trying to sell Salah, for example, to come back to Haaland. So it's something that's playing on my mind, and I have given it some thought as well, which is also why I want to wait one more game week before I get Salah, to think about whether it's worth going without him, taking a gamble and going without Salah and holding on to Haaland. That also would then allow me to get Saka, Palmer and Haaland for the next few game weeks. So yeah, I mean it's something that I'm thinking about, but it's not by any means confirmed. So we'll see what happens. Captain Sonny, he'll either make me or break me. For what it's worth, I think he'll only get about 70 to 75 minutes based on the codes and how they're managing his minutes right now. 73 people watching, only 7 likes. Thanks for helping me to keep count. Around 21 likes now. Thank you all for helping to like the stream. If you haven't, please do drop a like. Martinez or Fabianski? Probably Fabianski. Golden Goal says, just off the gym, we'll join back later to check in. Very, very nice. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for coming down to just have a chat. Right. Son versus Haaland captains. I think Son is a great differential captain, if I'm honest. Like, let me have a look at the poll. 43, it's closer than we thought. 43% for Salah, Haaland 38%. It's closer than we thought. Bruno Fernandes or Jackson long term? I want to say Nicholas Jackson because the Chelsea fixtures are really good moving forward. For Manchester United, after they have this good run of 3 fixtures, which I think is Leicester, Ipswich, the last one I think Everton. After this run of 3 good fixtures, it starts to get very tricky for them. So I think Man City is in the mix as well, like for games after this block of 3 fixtures for Manchester United. So it's not easy. So if I'm really looking maybe for a 6 to 8 game week horizon, I think Nicholas Jackson is probably the one I would go for. I think when it comes to Manchester United assets as well, the main concern that I have in game week 11 is in game week 11 they'll be playing under Van Nistelrooy. We'll probably be seeing something that we've seen in the past few game weeks that we've seen Manchester United set up in a back 4. But moving forward from game week 12, that's when they change coaches. Amorim will be in charge from then. And he is known to be someone who plays with 3 at the back. So if he comes in and changes a system, I don't know how the roles that these different players that we're targeting right now would evolve. Like Dalot, for example, Garnacho, Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, all these kind of names that we generally target from Manchester United. I don't really know what roles they would be playing, in which case there's a bit of risk, right? So I do think like in that situation, it's hard to tell. So you're taking a bit of a gamble in terms of Manchester United assets. Son or Solanke as captain, if I had to choose one, I think I would take Son because he's on penalties, and I do think that he would likely be given about 70 to 75 minutes. I could be wrong, but that's my guess. What are your thoughts on Evan-Neilson and the Bournemouth attack in general? I think the fixtures are great, and the Bournemouth attack is good. I honestly don't mind Evan-Neilson. It's just a question of whether you think over the long run, Evan-Neilson versus, say, someone like Cunha, for example, around a similar price point, like who's going to score more points? And I think it's closer than most people think, so I don't mind Evan-Neilson as a bit of a differential. Yeah, I think he's also someone that's going a bit under the radar. I've seen some people on Twitter, like Late Riser, for example, from Fantasy Football Scout. Like I think he brought Evan-Neilson in. I don't mind Evan-Neilson, to be honest. Thoughts on Ahmad versus Leicester? Is he nursing a bit of a knock? Last I heard, he came off with a bit of a knock in the in midweek. Jack says, would you wait a week to get Salah, even if you could do it for free? So my answer to that, which I think someone else asked just now as well, my answer to that is probably yes. Probably yes, because it foils a bit of my plans. The main player I want to remove for Salah is Brennan Johnson. And if I bring forward that move now to game week 11, I don't think I'd be selling Johnson. I think I'd be selling Rodgers instead, which is not what I want. Because moving forward, the rotation with Rodgers, Semenyo, and Chris Wood works really well. So I don't want to kind of compromise on that. So for the time being, I think if I had 2 free transfers, I'd probably delay it. Delay getting Salah. best free hit team. I haven't even taken a look at the free hit team this week. Start Flecken or Fabianski. Man, both defenses not great. I think for me it comes down to if you have Semenyo in your team. Like ideally, if you were starting Semenyo like me, I won't want to be playing Flecken there because they'd be cancelling each other out. But the only reason why I've still chosen to start Flecken is because Verbruggen is playing Manchester City. So I have no choice, but in your situation you have a choice. I'd probably go for the different keeper. Haaland has bad fixtures as well. Just get Salah, Palmer, and some Brighton assets in and you're fine. Yeah, I mean, for now the plan is to get Salah in and sell Haaland because not only do I get, I guess, marginally better fixtures, but also I get an extra 3 million. So yeah, it's definitely something that I'm considering for game week 12. It's just I want a bit more time to think about genuinely whether I want to sell Haaland. Yeah, even as I think about it now, like it's never easy to sell Haaland at any given game week. Like even if it seems super obvious now, I still find myself in a situation where I have a bit of hesitation to do it because he's Haaland and we just know what he is capable of. Give me a moment. Let me just charge the computer. We're going for about 3 to 4 hours. We need some battery. All right. Is Solanke a good captain option? I don't mind him as a differential. It's just if I had to choose between Son and Solanke, then I would go for Son. Got a birthday party to head to. Have a good stream and good luck. Thank you for tuning in. Jelly dude, have a good party. We're gonna be here for 3 hours, so by the time your party ends, maybe you're still here. If you have Salah, would you captain him over Haaland? Yes, I would. I'm really keen on keeping Haaland currently, thinking Palmer to Salah and Vardiol to a Robinson, for example, or Kirkes. I would say that you will want Palmer from game week 12, so I don't think Palmer to Salah is the move. And in fact, fixtures-wise, I think Palmer's fixtures are better than Salah's fixtures after the Southampton game in game week 12 for Salah. So I don't think I'm super keen on selling Palmer to get Salah. Defenders-wise, I do like the ones that you're targeting though, like Robinson, Kirkes. I like those shouts. Son or Solanke as captain. If I'm to choose one, I would go Son. Like, share, and subscribe. Yes, there are 128 of you guys watching already. So if you guys are watching and you've just joined the stream, today we are starting mega early because we're going to stream for about 3 to 4 hours to try and hit 10,000 subscribers. So if you're watching, you aren't subscribed yet, please do help me out and hit the subscribe button and get closer to 10,000 subscribers. Who to play? Rogers, one full midfielder, or Ahmad? I think Ahmad has a bit of a knock if I'm honest, but I don't think it's a case where he would come on if he's not fit to play. So among those three, I'd probably start Ahmad and then have the Fulham midfielder maybe first on the bench and then Rogers. Would you transfer out McNeil to Semenyo this week? Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of doubt as to whether McNeil is even going to play, so I don't mind selling him to Semenyo. I don't mind that move. Arthur, nice to see you. Do I keep Vardy for 2 free transfers next week or sell to Isak/Wood 3.8 million in the bank? 2 free transfers next week will be very handy because from game week 12, there will be more options coming up, especially the Brighton forwards. Those options like Welbeck will start to come up, in which case I think longer term, in terms of the fixtures that are coming up for them as well, the Brighton assets are better to get than Isak at 8.3 and Chris Wood at 6.4, 6.7. So I do think like I'll be in a case where I'd rather just keep the transfer, roll it to next week take a chance on Vardy. I mean, most people have slightly suboptimal teams this week for various reasons. If Palmer misses out, people are going to play Rodgers, like me, for example. So I think if your team does not look very good for game week 11, that is okay. 2 free transfers in game week 12 will be very handy. Cunha, captain. That's quite a big differential. I see other in the poll being quite high. Maybe people are going for Cunha there. 18%. That's interesting, but it's also something that I thought would happen, where Salah is not the outright captaincy option this week. Like, he will be the most captain, but I don't think it's going to be clear cut. There are going to be other people like I don't know, Haaland, for example, or even Cunha getting some love as well, or Solanke, like you guys mentioned. Bruno captain with Haaland vice or too extreme. I wouldn't have Bruno as someone that I captain instinctively. But the thing is, I don't mind him as a differential as well. If I'm to rank all these, I still would have Haaland before Bruno. It'll be Salah, Haaland, Son, then Bruno for me in that order. Then maybe Solanke after that. Right, I'm quite slow in the chat, so I'll start to speed through a little bit. If I miss your question, just feel free to type it again in the chat. Could Liverpool versus Villa be a stalemate, and so bringing in Salah this early might be detrimental? I mean, I would love to think that. It's not an easy fixture, and I've said this a couple of times in the videos that I put out this week, that I think in terms of the fixture matchup, the Brighton game is better than the Aston Villa game. Like, granted, Liverpool are playing at home, but in terms of how their opposition set up, Brighton are a team that play out from the back. They are not afraid to leave space in behind just based on the way that they kind of set their team up and the way that they attack as well. There will be space in behind for Haaland to exploit. And I compared it to Aston Villa, like, yes, they conceded 4 goals against Spurs, but one of that came from a free kick. And before the 70th minute, for example, they were doing pretty well until they broke down and Solanke scored 2 goals in quick succession. So, barring all that, I still think like Aston Villa are a decent enough defense to put up some form of resistance against Liverpool, and their style of play in terms of defensive structure is pretty solid. So I don't think it'll be a case where Liverpool run over Aston Villa and score many goals. I could be wrong, but I don't think it'll be the case. But I do foresee a game like Man City versus Brighton being pretty high scoring, in which case I hope Haaland is going to do well in there. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of Liverpool versus Villa, it could very well be a closer game than what people imagine. Banana, Aina, Dalo, Lewis, Palmer, Mbumo, McNeil, Salah, Chris Wood, Isak, and Cunha. That's your starting 11. Just a couple of players that I'd be worried about is Rico Lewis. I'm not sure if he starts. And also McNeil is nursing a bit of an injury now. So he might be someone you need to transfer out. But if not, the rest I think looks fine. Sanjay says, thoughts on Gordon to replace Foden? Not keen. I don't think he's worth the price that we're paying for him when there's other cheaper options that are doing pretty well, like Semenyo, for example. Brennan Johnson is not too bad as well. But couldn't you go Palmer to Salah and then downgrade Trent? I don't think Trent for his price is worth it. How many returns so far this season? Like, yes, I completely agree with the fact that Trent is not justifying his price tag this season. But I think in terms of a Liverpool defense, I think clean sheets could be coming for them moving forward. And in terms of getting extra funds, to get Salah, I don't think I've tried it out. I don't think I can reach Salah by selling Trent. I still have to find some money elsewhere. In which case, if I'm just to kind of do a combination move, I'd rather just sell Haaland at one go and back against Haaland if I want to go for Salah. If not, I swing the other way around and I just go without Salah. I think that's the main thing I'm thinking about right now. The funds from Trent are also going to be important for me to get Saka down the line, who is definitely a player I want. At least, if not game week 12, maybe game week 14 after the Manchester United game that they play in game week 13. So I think the Trent funds, I have a plan for them already. So it's either I keep Haaland or I go Salah. It's just by the nature of how expensive they are. I don't think I would be in a situation where I'd have both. I have Johnson, Solanke, Haaland. Do you think double up on Spurs should move me to captain Haaland? Not really. I mean, at the end of the day, your choice on who to captain should always be who you think is going to score the most points. So if you do think like the Ipswich game is one where Spurs is going to score many points in, or many goals in, then I don't mind still sticking with the captaincy on Solanke if that's what you prefer. I don't think I would think about it as a kind of a blocker kind of a move where you rather captain Haaland so you kind of diversify. I don't think that's what I would think about it. Who to start? Anderson, Gabriel, or Vandenberg? Probably Anderson. Also depends who your keeper is. Like if your keeper is Raya, then I don't think I would go so far as to double up on the Arsenal defense. If you have these kind of other options that you can go for. Any tips for Game Week 11 active wildcard? Already have Haaland, Wood, Cunha, Palmer, Salah, Mbumo, 8 Nuri, Vardiol, and Lewis. I've made a Game Week 11 wildcard draft, and I think like if I was on a Game Week 11 wildcard, I would be tempted to have Son right from the get-go now in Game Week 11, and also use him as a bit of a differential captain. And then book in a bit of a transfer in Game Week 12 to do Son to Saka. That is likely what I would do, just to get a bit of an edge, and also to try and maximize the fixtures, or optimize the fixtures. So that's probably what I would do. I posted it on Instagram a couple days back, so I think the draft still stands. Most of the players are the ones that I will still keep on a Game Week 11 wildcard, so you can check it out. It's fpl_consult on Instagram. Transfer in Son for a 1 week punt and move to Palmer. I don't really like the 1 week punt though. Unless you have many free transfers, like if you have 5 free transfers or 4 free transfers, I don't mind that. I guess that is the value of it being in a position where you have many transfers banked. But if not, I think having more transfers after the international break is what I prefer. If you had Son and Haaland, who would you captain? I would captain Son if I had Son and Haaland. Could Rodgers score against Liverpool? Why not? I think it's... Why not? I think, to be fair, I think we are giving Aston Villa... Like, yes, I understand that they're not in a good place right now because they just lost in Europe by a bizarre goal, by the way. And then their form, even in the Premier League, does not look super good. And then you parallel that with Liverpool looking super good, both in the league and also in Europe, that it seems as if this game is going to be an absolute mauling. But I do think like it could be closer than we think. That's all. Like I'm not saying that Salah will blank just because I don't have him. Like, I think Salah is still the best captain this week, and if I had Salah, I would captain Salah ahead of Haaland. But I'm just saying that I think it might be closer than we imagine. Palmer or Son captain? I don't think I will captain Haaland this week. If it's between Palmer and Son, I prefer Son. Christian from the Philippines, nice to see you. Can Greaves be substituted for 8 Nuri? I think he's still red flag though, so I don't think I would. Oh, you mean transfer Greaves out for 8 Nuri? That seems like a good move. You will have quite a number of playing defenders though, so something to take note of if you do Greaves to 8 Nuri. Start Welbeck against City or Rodgers against Liverpool. Probably Welbeck, because if João Pedro doesn't play, then Welbeck will be on penalties. So because Welbeck has that extra penalties and also he's on direct free kicks, I don't mind starting him ahead of Rodgers. Bench Bowen or Chris Wood. I don't think I can bring myself to even say bench Chris Wood. Like, the man has just won Premier League Player of the Month. So consistent right now. I don't think I can say bench Chris Wood, so maybe bench someone else. Like, Bowen also feels like he has a decent enough fixture. And there were a couple of rumors going around that Bowen was injured or is not fit to start. I've seen a couple of clips that he's in training as well. Let me just pull up this one. I remember where to find as compared to the Dominic Calvert-Lewin one. Right, so let me go over to Twitter. So basically, for those asking, there isn't many, right? For those of you who have Bowen, but he is seen training with the squad, right? So if you rewatch this video on Twitter, he is here, right? And basically, I do think as well that those rumors, I'm not even sure where they came from, but Bowen should be fine, right? So for those of you who do have Bowen, he's probably going to start, so I don't think you should be too worried about that. In fact, it's a pretty decent fixture for him. In any case, like, I think it also makes someone like a Mikalenko have slightly less of an appeal if Bowen starts. Would you start Raya or Fabianski? I really don't back the West Ham defense, so I think it will largely come down to if we have news on whether Palmer starts. If Palmer starts, I'd probably be less comfortable to start Raya, so I go for Fabianski despite how bad they are. But then if Palmer doesn't start, I'm more comfortable to go for Raya as my keeper. And I'm saying all this assuming that you have Gabriel in defense, for example. If you choose Haaland or Salah, would you choose Salah or Haaland for captaincy? If I had both, I would choose Salah. Rico Lewis to start. I think he's quite risky this week. I don't think I would put my money on him starting. FPL Diamonds in the chat. Nice to see you. Like, share, and subscribe. Yes, we are on the road to... For those of you who just joined the stream, there's about 180 of you guys already. We are trying to hit 10,000 subscribers today, so we're going to go on for about 3 to 4 hours to hopefully hit that 10,000 subscribers. So if you're watching and you aren't subscribed, help me out and hit that button and get us closer to the target. Have I made a huge mistake? I sold Watkins, Rodgers, and Gabriel for Vissa, Saka, and Aina. I think Aina is not a player I would transfer in. But Gabriel is fine. Sorry. Gabriel, you transferred him out. Saka is fine, right? Because from game week 12 onwards, you would want Saka. Vissa, Brentford's fixtures still continue to be good until I think at least game week 14 or 15. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Maybe just Aina, but aside from that, I think you'll be alright with Vissa and Saka. Do you think I should start with Smith Rowe or Rodgers or buy Garnacho in place of Smith Rowe and play him? Planning to wildcard next week. So on Garnacho, like, it seems as if you're taking a 1 week punt. Like, I don't mind it. But if you're looking at the set of 3 fixtures, thinking that you want to target all of them, then what I would say is the other two fixtures after this Leicester game is going to be under Amorim, and the role that Garnacho is going to play may not remain the same. So there is a bit of a risk that if you buy now and you need Garnacho, for example, for 3 game weeks, then his role will evolve as we go along. So just something to think about. Have Haaland, Salah, Saka, and Palmer, but surely Haaland breaks the duck this game week. I hope so. I hope so. VJ, thank you for being a member for 11 months. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate the support and also for moderating the chat as always. One of the very, very present moderators. So thank you very much. FPL Basilio says, I have one concern, to start Lewis or Mikalenko. Mikalenko has secured 90 minutes. What's your view? I think I would start Mikalenko ahead of Lewis because I think Rico Lewis would probably not start. You think I should replace McNeil to Rogers? I prefer McNeil to Semenyo this week. I have 2 free transfers now. If I don't use it, it's like wasting 1 free transfer because we can have maximum 2 at any given time. No, you can now roll up to 5 transfers. You can have 5 transfers in any week, right? So you would only be forced to use your transfer if this current week now you're able to make 5 for free. Hopefully that's clear enough. But 2 free transfers are now a thing of the past. A thing of the past. K7, nice to see you. Would you sell McNeil for a -4 to Semenyo? Maybe not a -4. Who else do you have on your bench? Heart says Larson. Logic says Salah. Gut Instinct says Haaland. Captaincy is quite split this week, like I'll be honest. And usually in a week that is so split, it's not the worst thing in the world if you try to go for a differential and it doesn't pay off. Click on the like button, show your support. Yeah, thank you all there's about 193 of you guys watching, so hopefully we can get the like count up as well. We are at 58 likes. If you enjoy the stream so far, thank you for watching. And please do hit the like button as well. My team is Burn, Vardiol, Gabriel, Aignery, Palmer, Saka, Rogers, and Bumo, Delep, Wood, and Haaland. 4 transfers left. Your defense seems fine. Midfielders are pretty alright as well. But if you have 4 free transfers, maybe Delep to someone like Cunha is what I would do. Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't think you need to make too many transfers. Delep to Cunha is probably what I would go for. Lewis out for Aina or Aignery. Definitely Aignery. Fixtures longer term are better for him as compared to Aignery. We need that 10k party. Yeah, hopefully we can get there. Hopefully with how long we're streaming we can get there. Sean says, I really feel like going Son captain as a differential captain this week. I mean, if you already have Son, this is the week to punt on him. Yeah, I don't mind it. Like this week, captaincy is going to be very, very split, right? So if there's a week to go for a differential, like this is the week to do so. Good morning to all. Hoping for another green arrow. 2 green arrows in a row as I need Mbumo and Salah to do well today. All the best for game week 11. Green arrows always very, very welcome. And Salah and Mbumo, if you have Salah, you're probably going to captain him, I imagine. Mick Dad says, Cunha, Semenyo, Haaland versus Saka, Isak, and Jackson. Which one would you be taking? This is interesting. I want to say Cunha, Semenyo, and Haaland. I think that's the way I would go. Like Saka, Isak, and Jackson. Like yeah, I mean Isak and Jackson are doing very well now. Fixtures moving forward are okay, but they're both pretty expensive. Um, to be honest, it also depends on your other players. Because if going for Haaland restricts your whole other team, then that is also not ideal. I probably need to see the rest of the squad as well. Thank you very much, VJ, for the donation. It will be going to the charity drive as well. If we do hit 10k subscribers today, then I will be making the donation today as well. We are raising money for Mindset charity. So every subscriber that we get until the 10k mark, I will be donating extra money to charity. Kirkes -4 for Vanderven, please help. -4. Who else are your defenders? What other kind of defensive options do you have? The reason I say this is because taking hits for defenders this season just doesn't feel ideal because clean sheets are so hard to predict. Like there's really not many clean sheets. It's few and far between. So I do think like taking a hit for defenders it's probably not what I would do if I could avoid it. If you have to take a hit to get a playing defender, then that becomes a -2 because you would not have anyone to play if you didn't make the transfer. So do you think Garnacho starting will depend on the availability of Ahmad and Rashford? 100%. I think it really depends on Ahmad and Rashford, and also especially because Ahmad did so well in Europe that he comes back into contention as well. It's also really hard to justify having Haaland without captaining him. I agree with that as well. I agree with that, and which is kind of the main reason why I think I might still push myself to sell Haaland next week, get that extra 3 million out of him as well by going for Salah. Today's like is 150. We are at 68 likes now. So I still always aim for 100. I think 100 I'm happy enough with it. So if you haven't liked the stream, please do drop a like. I'm going to try to hit 100 likes. If you had Son, would you captain him over Salah, Haaland, etc.? If I had Son as well as Salah and Haaland, I think I would still captain Salah. Iman says, I can't see Garnacho starting under Amorim. Yeah, I mean, you see, the issue that they have is that if they set up with a back three, then they need wing backs, and they don't really have wing backs. Like, I'm sure Dalot can play there, or even Luke Shaw can, but most of the predicted kind of lineups that I've seen under Amorim is mainly having Garnacho as the wing back, which I don't think is honestly going to happen. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Garnacho plays as one of the front three, but it's not guaranteed by any means. I agree. What is your transfer plans? So my plan for next week in game week 12 is to sell Haaland for Salah. So Johnson to Salah and Haaland to someone like Welbeck is what I plan to do for game week 12. But I'll discuss more of that in the transfer plans video. Please give me replacements for Rico Lewis since you think he's not starting. So if I'm buying defenders this week, there's a couple I've been looking at. Milos Kerkez from Bournemouth, that's one. Lewis Hall from Newcastle, who seems to be starting pretty consistently now, but the risk with him is that Kieran Trippier could be returning soon, and then maybe his minutes start to drop. The other defender that I'll be looking at is Aid Nuri as well. And then Dalot, but Dalot has a bit of a risk associated with him and his role under Amorim. So that's with these four defenders. From game week 12 though, I imagine that the Chelsea defenders come into the picture because from game week 12, the Chelsea fixtures start to look pretty good. So players like Colwell, for example, who's been starting every single game, for the past 10 game weeks, he could be someone that you consider from game week 12. So point is to say that if you're able to save your transfers now in game week 11 and then head over to game week 12, more options would come up. Brighton will have a good fixture run. Chelsea would have a good fixture run. Arsenal also finished their kind of trickier run of fixtures. So a lot of other options pop up from game week 12. It's a pretty big fixture swing for many teams. So I do think like having more transfers then could be useful in terms of transfers. So if you could roll, do try to roll. Greetings from Thailand. 10 p.m. kickoff. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty early today, I'll be honest. But it's only because we're going to go all the way until the deadline. Is Palmer out? We don't have news on that yet. Start one of Lewis, Mikalenko, and Aina. I'll go Aina. Calvert-Lewin or Cole Palmer, who to start? Has to be Cole Palmer. Will you keep Foden? I don't see a reason why you need to sell him this week against Brighton. Should I play Rodgers against Liverpool? Take a gamble on dribbling against one of the worst defenses in the league. Still prefer Rodgers. I think I still prefer Rodgers, if I'm honest. Haaland has one last chance. If he blanks, he's gone. There's no way you can have a 15.3 million player when he's a third. I mean, I am giving him one more game week at the minimum. I don't want to commit to selling Haaland in game week 12 though. FPL Diamond says, can I tag you in my team on Twitter? Have a look at it. Yeah, I'll have a look at Twitter in a bit. We can go over to Twitter later on. I think Ahmad and Bruno will be Emery's preferred choice with Rashford and Garnacho on the bench. On paper, it's decent. Just don't think Rashford and Garnacho have the hunger to play. I mean, honestly, at this point, it's all speculation, right? Which is why it's so hard. It's so hard to decide which United asset is, I guess, the one to go for. So realistically, the only one that I feel is super safe is still Bruno Fernandes, but he is obviously still the most expensive one out of all the different Manchester United assets that you can consider. So it's either go big and go on Bruno Fernandes or just avoid them completely. Solanke and Palmer or Strand Larsen and Salah. Probably Strand Larsen and Salah. For this week only though. I think for the weeks after that, you probably prefer Solanke and Palmer. Salah captain this week, yeah, why not? He's currently on 40%. Like, it's interesting that 300 over votes already, and Salah is at 40%, Haaland is at 36%. So it's closer than we imagine. I think Salah will still be the most captain, but I think it's going to be quite close. I don't have Arsenal defense. Should I start Raya or Fabianski? Then I think you start Raya, because it's so close, and it's not like the West Ham defense is something you'd be dying to get a piece of. So I think you start Raya. What do you think about Kadioglu? He's been playing right mid for Brighton. From game week 12, I think is worth having a look at Brighton defenders as well. Like, for me, I have a Bruggen, so I probably wouldn't look there. But Kadioglu, Lewis Dunk, if he's back, could also be someone that you consider, but he's currently flagged. So, but yeah, I agree. Brighton defenders start to come into the mix from game week 12. Thoughts on Isak as a potential option? I like that he's a bit of a differential now, but my main issue with Isak is that he's quite expensive. He's at 8.3 million. He's definitely going to cause you to have to sacrifice something, whether it's one premium in midfield. Something has to give. So going for Isak could sound great, but I think elsewhere you may be compromising, and if you're okay with that, then I would go ahead and buy Isak. If not, objectively speaking, I think the other kind of cheaper forwards could very well cover Isak over this run. Like Cunha, for example, is someone I would go ahead of Isak. What do you think about when we should play free hit? I think I would save that for a blank game week still. Lewis to Ignuri for a -4. Can't say I'm super keen on that for a -4. Johnson or Bowen or Rogers, choose two. Johnson and Bowen. Rogers has Liverpool this week. Isn't the deadline in 5 hours? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We are mega early today. This week I did Haaland to Cunha and Rogers to Salah, and I have 1.2 million in the bank. What should I do next game week? Well, it's early to say because it's an international break. Many things can happen. But there will be transfers to make in game week 12. I can almost guarantee you that because it is a fixture swing for many of the teams. So there will be transfers to make. And I think it would also largely depend on the international break and what happens. Palmer injured. For the time being, we don't know if he's going to start because there's some doubt surrounding Palmer this game week. My guess, if I have to say if I think he'll start or not, my guess is that he will. Ahmad and Mazraoui look nice on the right side together. Yeah, I think Mazraoui could fill in as one of those wingbacks, to be honest. Best defender to transfer in under 5.5. So it depends if you're okay with Dalot. If you're okay with him, I think you could go for Dalot. If not, I think someone who is getting a little bit more love of late is Pedro Porro. But I do think like this week specifically, like Romero is a bit of a doubt. He could come back, but he's a bit of a doubt. And then Van de Ven is out as well. So maybe Porro is not someone I would go for. And then the other cheaper ones still apply, like the Milos Kyrgios of the world, Nuri, for example, Lewis Hall. All these still stay as options. So there's quite a bit of options in defense, to be honest. Johnson or Son? I think longer term I would prefer Johnson for the price. Flecken or Fabianski? If you're starting Semenyo, I would go Fabianski. If you're not, then I would go Flecken. Play Mykolenko instead of Lewis and then transfer out Lewis in game week 12. I mean, that could work. And I would start Mykolenko ahead of Lewis this week. I'm also going to roll my team from game week 12 to game week 17. To be honest, after the game week 12 fixture swing, I actually do think, like, as you've mentioned, there's not going to be a lot of transfers to make. I did say that about, I guess, game week 10 and game week 11. And then obviously some injuries cropped up. I brought Son in, he got injured. And then I brought Palmer in, now Palmer is flagged. So we say this now, but I think during that period of time, we will need to use those transfers. Like that's just how it works. But yeah, I mean, ideally it's the best that we don't have any booked in transfers for those game weeks. Thanks for helping to plug the channel, VJ. Should I consider Isak, Jackson, or Solanke? If I'm buying one this week, I would be very tempted to get Solanke. The only downside about going for Solanke is that you immediately run into Man City in game week 12 after the Ipswich game. That's the only thing. If you're alright with that, then you could go for Solanke. Palmer out for Salah on a free hit. Next week I can transfer Palmer back, take Kulu out, but we need Palmer back in. I'm not super keen on the free hit this week though, but I've seen a couple of people activate the free hit this week. I do think like later down the line there will be a better use of the free hit chip, if I'm honest. Dean, good morning to you. Start Raul or Semenyo? I think I would have to say Raul Jimenez because of the potential penalties. But it also doesn't sit right that Semenyo is going to be on the bench. Do you think João Pedro could retain his starting spot after the injury? 4.5 Brighton attacker is tempting me. So, the thing with the Brighton attackers, specifically, let's talk about Welbeck first. I think the number 9 spot is his. It's his for until the time where he doesn't do well. But for the time being, I think that spot is nailed as his. I don't think that Evan Ferguson would replace him in any game week soon. And also, in terms of João Pedro coming back, João Pedro is someone that could play in the number 9 spot, but I don't think João Pedro is going to be competing with him. I do think like the main competitor for João Pedro is Jorginho Rutter in that kind of number 10 spot. Rutter has been playing on the right wing, but it's simply because players like Minte have been injured. And other kind of wingers are injured as well, but they're coming back from injury now. I think the number 10 spot is where João Pedro and Rutter will be competing. Then up front, it's Welbeck and Evan Ferguson that are competing. So I still think Welbeck is the one I would go for. João Pedro, because he is just coming back from injury, I do think like they will manage his minutes, etc. So it's not like I'm super confident that he will get very, very good minutes moving forward. So even come game week 12, if I'm to buy one, I will still choose Danny Welbeck. Bradley says, Rodgers or Semenyo to Salah this week. I have Maddison too, but I don't want to get rid of him for Ipswich at home. Thoughts? I think if I'm selling either one of Rodgers or Semenyo this week for Salah, it will have to be Rodgers. Sold Solanke last game week. Yeah, many people did that. It's alright. We can't get everything right. Hoyland, Isak, and Chris Wood up front for the win. Hopefully that works out for you. Johnson or Rodgers or Bowen, choose two. Johnson and Bowen. Mezigan says, Vardy out for who? 0.5 million, one transfer. I also have Raul. Probably Strand Larsen. I don't think you can stretch too far. Maybe Strand Larsen. Hans says, hey there. Pinnock or Lewis, who starts and who benches? I'll start Pinnock ahead of Rico Lewis. A lot of Palace players are out, so Fulham might have a field day. We'll see. But you're right, like Eberechi Eze, for example, is a player that's missing for them. So is Eddie Nketiah. Why don't you sell Haaland and get Salah? Because I have to take a hit if I'm to do it this week. So I don't want to do that. Ramadian says, I have Raya, Fabianski, Trent, Colwell, Gabriel Mikolenko, and Greaves, 2 free transfers. Should I do Gabriel to Newry this week for some funds? I don't think you sell Gabriel. Colwell is also good from game week 12, so I wouldn't sell him. Trent, Mikalenko, and Gabriel to start this week. I think that's what you do. I think you start Trent, Gabriel, and Mikalenko. And then either one of Fabianski and Raya. It doesn't seem like you need to make a transfer this week, Ramadian. CRS27 says, start Welbeck or Rogers this week. I would start Welbeck for the penalties. Don't let Rutter from the eye test. João Pedro has so much footballing qualities, don't you think as well? I think it's between the two of them, and I think they offer different things. So depending on the opponent, either one could be favoured. But I know that Hertzler really, really likes João Pedro and the impact that he has on the team and how he views him as a leader. So I think moving forward, João Pedro, if he's fit, will continue to start. I'm not super worried. It's mainly from game week 12. He's going to be building up his minutes. I don't want to be going for a player in game week 12 that is in a situation where he's just come back from injury. That's mainly why I would prefer Welbeck in 12. Lewis to 8 Newry, any good? Yeah, I don't mind it for free this week. Will you take a -4 to bring in Salah and Isak, take out Haaland and McNeil? I don't like it for a -4, to be honest. What about Bruno captain? Bruno captain, it's definitely a differential captain. And I guess what I would say about... I wouldn't do it, but what I would say is this is the game week to go different if you want to. Because there's no clear captaincy shout this week. Johnson or Semenyo or Rogers or Garnacho. Is this buying one for this week? Need a bit more context on that. Start Robinson and bench Aina. I prefer to start Robinson ahead of Aina this week, yes. VJ says, let's have some likes. We are on 90 likes. We're on 90 likes now, and there's also 221 of you guys watching. Thank you all for coming down. We are trying to hit 10,000k subscribers. That's why we are starting very early. That's one. So if you haven't subscribed, please do hit the subscribe button. And we're trying to get to 100 likes as well. So please do drop a like on the stream. Vikrant says, I have a feeling City will bounce back strong this week. Incoming Haaland/Foden Hall. I really hope that is the case, but I'm very wary of that kind of thinking as well. Like, am I just saying that because I want it to happen? Because everything is pointing to the fact that Man City are on the down right now, and we are just like hoping that they're going to do well. And I parallel that to Liverpool doing so well in Europe as well as the Premier League in recent form, and then Aston Villa looking pretty poor, that it seems as if Liverpool are going to smash Aston Villa. So I'm really hoping that it's reversed this week, and it also kind of is good for the team as well. Like, it's good for my starting 11. So hopefully that's what we see. I know it's not going to be popular because a lot of people have Salah, and he will be a very big captain shout this week. Saka to Son for a -4, need some consultation. Saka to Son for a -4, I probably wouldn't do it, not for a -4. Consultation is an interesting term. Maybe we should call the deadline streams or the reaction streams consultation. Like, maybe we keep the deadline streams as deadline streams, but if I do another stream like a reaction one, maybe I could call it the consultation stream. What do you guys think? Throwing out ideas here. Thinking of selling Haaland for Salah, but I'm scared of a backfire. I've been thinking of this move for 4 weeks and Salah is punishing me. If you've kept him for so long, like, I really question whether this is the week to do it. Like that's my main issue. Like, if I didn't do it last week, is this week the week to do it when Liverpool play Aston Villa and City play Brighton? or delay it one more week until game week 12. Like for now, I'm still leaning towards that. Start Raul or Chris Wood this week. I don't think I can ever say that I bench Chris Wood with the form that he's in. So I would say Chris Wood. Start Vandenberg or leave Davies. My keeper is Flecken. Ipswich have Spurs. I really don't think a clean sheet is there for them. Neither do I think it's there for Vandenberg. But maybe I go for the attacking threat of Leave Davies. Hope he scores a goal or something. I think I prefer Leave Davies. Solanke captain, what do you think? If this is the week that you want to go different, if you want to go different, this is the week to do so. AC Phantom says, hi Leon, dilemma to start Rico Lewis or Gabriel. This one is easy, it's Gabriel. Please enter a username. That's an interesting one. Please enter a username says Fabianski or Cells to start. Cells. Tondi says 8 Nuri for Robertson. I think Simicas has started the past few games already, even in Europe. So I think my guess is Robertson starts this one. And against Aston Villa at home, I don't mind holding on to him. But I also don't mind selling him this week because 8 Nuri has Southampton. The only thing about 8 Nuri is that he's on 4 yellow cards. So something to pay attention to. Which 3 players are must-haves this week? Oh, hold on. I think is the stream lagging a little bit? I may have to try and fix the stream again. It's been happening of late. Not sure why. Let me just check the settings. Okay, hopefully it's alright now. Let me know if the stream is going okay. Drop it in the chat. Not lagging, okay. Awesome. Right. Lost the train of thought. 3 players as must-haves this week. Must-haves. I don't think there are really any must-haves this week. Like even I wouldn't say Salah is a must-have this week because I don't have Salah. Okay, the stream is alright. Thanks for letting me know, guys. I think I'm lagging a little bit, but hopefully it's gonna be okay. Do I choose Palmer? If you're buying this week, I wouldn't buy Palmer. He's a classic case of you don't buy him and you don't sell him. Stream is fine, all good. Thank you very, very much for letting me know. Trent, Saliba, Robinson, 8 Nuri, Konza. Which 3 should I start? Man, the chat's gone. The chat has gone. Let me try and fix it now. Hopefully it's going okay. It's lagging a little bit on my end. Apologize, just let me have a check. Okay. Okay, I think we're back now. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Okay. Yeah, nobody notices the lags, but on my end I can't see the chat. Like the chat is blanking out. Okay, let's get back. Let's get back. Nothing personal, but I hope Solanke blanks out can feel better for transferring him out. You're not the only one. You're not the only one. A lot of people transferred Solanke out last week. Rodgers or Garnacho or Semenyo or Johnson need one cheap midfielder. I think if you can even reach Johnson this week, Johnson is the one I would go for. Should I sell Haaland for Solanke? I don't think so. I don't think I would go Haaland to Solanke this week. Do you think Dalot or a Brighton defender, or maybe even Konate for Trent, will be a good move? It saves money in case Haaland starts scoring like he did earlier in the season. Dalot or Brighton defender for Trent. I think selling Trent is definitely something I would consider moving forward. And Brighton defenders, I really don't mind. My main concern with Dalot is just, firstly, the fixtures after the next three start to get tricky. And then even in these three fixtures that are good for him now, two will be under Amorim. So the one now in game week 11 will be under Ruud van Nistelrooy. So under Amorim, if he plays in a different system, will Dalot definitely start? I don't think I can be sure of that. But I think downgrading Trent, the idea, I think it works. Foden to Bruno for a hit this week, I don't think I would do that. 100 likes. Thank you all for helping to get us to... We are at 109 likes. So thank you all for getting us there. Appreciate that help. Is getting Son ahead of Salah a good idea if it enables me to keep Haaland? It depends though. If eventually you want Salah, I think it really depends. If you eventually want Salah, then I don't think I would just get Son this week to kind of cover that. Steve says, hi Leon, who is the one player you don't have that you fear this weekend? Mine is Bruno Fernandes. Mine is very obviously Mohamed Salah. Like, if there's a player right now that I'm super afraid of, it is Mohamed Salah. Is Maguire a must-have? Is that a troll? Is that a troll? Martin says, any news on Palmer? Not yet. We're pretty early today, so not yet. Would you captain Son, Solanke, or Mbumo? Between the three, I prefer Son. Is it worth getting Saka on a -4? Nope, I probably wouldn't do that. Miles behind in the chat. Yeah, I know. I had a bit of a technical issue just now. Leaks? Not yet. Not yet. Fabianski or Flecken? I would prefer to start Flecken this week, but it depends. I've seen this question quite a bit. It really depends if you have Semenyo. If you have Semenyo in your team and you're playing him, then I'd rather start Fabianski so that I don't have Semenyo playing my keeper. Captain Haaland, Son, Solanke, and Mbumo. Out of all those, I like Haaland the most. But if you want to go different, then Son is the one I would choose. Is it worth selling Trent, McNeil for 8 Nuri and Saka on a -4? I wouldn't do that. Dalot or Hall the better buy? I think in terms of security of minutes, Hall is the one that is slightly more secure. So can I trust you with Robertson? Can I start him? Because right now I have him on the bench, but he would be better in my team. Can you keep us updated on leaks? Yeah, I have Twitter open right now. And my guess is that because Tsimikas has played the past few games, and also about how Arne Slot spoke about the left back situation, that they have two good left backs. I do think like this is the week that Tsimikas gets a rest and Robertson comes back in. I'm not gonna say that I'm very certain that's gonna happen, but that is my guess at this point. Is Palmer gonna play? Don't have any leaks on that yet. Ricky's in the chat. Nice to see you. Palmer posted something on his story, some kind of treatment on his leg. Does this mean something? So he similar to Gabriel, he posted on Instagram this kind of a black color cooling. I'm not sure if it's cooling. It's something around the knee, and it's something similar to what we saw Bruno Fernandes as well as Gabriel have. And after that, days after the post, they played. So I think if it's anything to go by, I think Palmer would probably start. That's my guess. Start Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Rodgers. I have Trent. Maybe Calvert-Lewin, because you don't want Rodgers to play Trent, right? Maybe Calvert-Lewin, but honestly not expecting much. Do you think Luis Diaz will play in the starting lineup? I think with the way that he played in Europe, it's really, really hard to bench him. Like, he just scored a hat-trick for Liverpool in Europe. Like, can you really bench a player after that? I think something that was interesting was that Luis Diaz played in the number 9 role. Like, they didn't choose to play Nunes. They chose to play Luis Diaz in that number 9 spot. So that is really, I guess, something that Nunes owners or people thinking about Nunes a couple game weeks ago need to consider as well. That Arne Slot is okay to experiment a little bit. And I think in terms of maybe Luis Diaz's minutes, then it also goes up a little bit because he can play other positions. Like forward is a position that, or striker is a position that Arne Slot doesn't mind playing Luis Diaz in. Pick 2 from Pinnock, Mikalenko, Gabriel, and Lewis. I would go for Gabriel and Pinnock. Martin says, let's get to 10k subs. We're gonna get there, we're trying to get there. I have about 2 more hours. We're gonna stream for about 2 more hours. Or maybe 3. We'll see how long we can go for. But hopefully we'll be able to get there. If you're watching, there's about 240 of you guys. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, please do help us to get to 10,000 subscribers. We are about 100 over subscribers to that target. So let's see if we can get there. Eight Nuri captain, probably not. Is Palmer starting? We don't know yet. -4, 8 Nuri in for Lewis. I don't think I would do that. Will Fabianski start? What's happened to Areola? I mean, at this point, it does seem as if Areola has lost the starting 11 spot, but I wouldn't put it past Lopetegui to suddenly start Areola again. It's not as if Fabianski has come in and kept many clean sheets or made many saves. Milton says, what moves are you making this week? I'm not making any moves. I'm probably just going to stick with this, keep Haaland, and I'm avoiding Salah, which sounds crazy, but I don't think I'll go for Salah this week for a hit. Captain Cunha or Mbumo, if it's between the two, I prefer Mbumo. Salah Solanke in for Haaland McNeil. If it's for free, I don't mind it. Haaland, McNeil, again, if it's for free, I don't mind it. If it's for free, I don't mind it. 117 likes. Thank you all so much for helping us to hit at least 100 likes on the stream. Should I captain Son or Haaland? It depends. It depends on what kind of FPL manager you are. Haaland will obviously be more captain than Son. And if this is the week that you want to go different, I don't mind it. And captaincy on Son is going to be a big differential. Where do I live? I'm in Singapore. I'm based in Singapore. I have no info, but Palmer won't start. Not the risk with the squad size Chelsea have. Is that true though? This is the biggest game for Chelsea this whole season so far. I actually think he starts. 8 Nuri to Aina, not this week. In fact, it's the reverse. Like, I'd probably do Aina to 8 Nuri if I could, for free. Who's a better captain? Salah or Solanke? Has to be Salah. Southampton versus Wolves. What are your thoughts on the results? I think it will be high scoring. I think it will be a high scoring game. Because there's going to be space in between for both teams. Toby says, respect to you, Leon. Got Salah and Spurs FOMO. I am afraid, like, I'll be honest, like, not having Salah, I am good. The good thing about this week is that the Liverpool versus Aston Villa game in Singapore is going to be at 4 a.m. That's the good thing. So potentially I won't be watching the game and I'll be having a good sleep. And if I wake up and somehow I check the score, and we'll see what happens, but if I check the score and I see that Salah has torn it up, at least I was sleeping while it happened and I didn't watch it in real time. So I guess I don't have to be hiding behind any sofas. But yeah, I mean, it does not feel good not to have Salah, I'll be honest. It's going to be a big risk that we're taking this week. Asif says, my consultant, Son and Solanke or Son and Wood? Chris Wood's fixtures moving forward are actually quite tricky. The only concern with Son and Solanke is that in game week 12 you immediately run into Man City. So you have to decide. I do think like I would lean towards Son and Solanke, and then selling Son after to someone like Palmer or Saka, for example. Sell Haaland and Smith Rowe for Salah and Saka for free. For free. Yes, I think yes. That's very, very good upgrades. Mbumo captain. That would be a differential, but it's not something I would do. Time to make my way to pools if it's high scoring. Good one. Nori or delete, who gets benched? I would start 8 Nuri this week. Is Foden to Son worth a hit? Not this week. If you plan to captain Son though, the thing is if you bring him in for a -4, in game week 12 you run into Man City. Like, I would prefer to spend transfers on moves that have a longer horizon. Thank you very much for 136 likes. Thanks, VJ Cole, for keeping count. Really appreciate that. Start Rico Lewis or Morgan Rogers. I prefer to start Morgan Rogers. Singapore and Kuala Lumpur are very close located. People are friendly, humble, kind, and helping others. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you had a good experience. We are very close by, and in fact, I just came back from KL a couple days ago. Very, very nice place. Food is good as well. Would you double up with Konate and Trent and bench Aina or play Aina instead of Konate this week? I don't think I'd want to double up on the Liverpool defense this week. I don't mind spreading the risk and starting Aina. My issue with clean sheets this season is that it's so hard to predict. Like, the bigger teams aren't really keeping clean sheets, so the premium defenders aren't justifying their price tag. And then it's the cheaper defenders, those that are getting attacking returns, like 8 Nuri, for example, or Aina last week. Like, these kind of players are popping up with higher scores. So it seems, and mainly why the game is tending towards a cheap defense and then more expensive midfield. But that could very quickly change. That could very, very quickly change. 8 Nuri for Robertson. I don't think you need to make that move this week. Do you think Palmer will start? I think Palmer will start. McNeil to Garnacho, or I'll make Calvert-Lewin to Strand Larsen for 1 week. I'm wildcarding this week. Probably McNeil to Garnacho. But also something that I would say is on using your one transfer now, or using your taking a 1 week punt before wildcarding. I think it's not necessary anymore this season. You could very well just carry your transfers through, and that could be more advantageous for you. So I guess it's another perspective on thinking whether you'd rather take a 1 week punt or roll your transfer. You will still have it after. So I'll give some thought to that. City defense is bad, and after City, Son has Fulham at home. Fair enough. If you're okay to keep Son for the next few game weeks and that is your game plan, then I don't mind. Thoughts on Cunha, captain? I'm not that kind of FPL manager, but I do think, like, if you want to go different, I don't mind it. I just don't think, in terms of going different, he's one of those that would come to mind immediately. I would have someone like Son, for example, ahead of Cunha. I would have someone like Mbumo ahead of Cunha. You get the point. You get the point. Considering starting Semenyo and benching Raul, front seven. I think that's fine. But Raul Jimenez potentially being on penalties and Crystal Palace having a rather thin squad now, I would try to find a route in for him. It's just that your team is pretty strong in terms of attackers as well. It's between Semenyo and Raul Jimenez. I think I would start Raul Jimenez ahead of Semenyo, you know. Palmer to Salah, I don't think I'll make that move this week because game week 12 you will want Palmer, and I don't think he's out for that long. Palmer was named in the England squad for the upcoming international break. Raya or Sells in goal, what do you suggest? I wouldn't want to double up on the Arsenal defense, so if you have Gabriel already, I will start Sells. Should I captain Son or Bruno Fernandes? I prefer to captain Son ahead of Fernandes this week. I'm very tempted to sell Bernardo Silva for Johnson. You know what? I think that's an okay move. It's not as if Bernardo Silva is so attacking or doing so well that you need to be afraid and keep him. And Johnson is the one that has the great fixture this week. And for the price point that he's at, keeping him through difficult fixtures, I don't think is the worst thing in the world. Jonathan says, shout out to FPL Consult. You're one of the best YouTubers from Singapore for FPL. Thank you very much for the support, Jonathan. Appreciate the encouragement. Nabil says, planning to sell Watkins for Cunha. I have Mbumo, Johnson, and Son with Palmer and McNeil flagged. Should I be worried? If you haven't made the move yet, I don't think Watkins to Cunha is a move that should be prioritized over selling McNeil. Like, Everton's fixtures moving forward aren't good. I'd rather move like McNeil to Solanke for your position. Hey, McNeil to Solanke. I'd rather move like McNeil to Semenyo in your position. Salah is not killing your rank. But in terms of engaged managers though, like everyone has moved over to Salah. So I think in terms of my mini leagues as well, I guess, like I have a couple of mini leagues as well. Everyone's moved to Salah, which is also something that makes me think I want to keep Haaland or bet on the fact that he would come good. I don't think with a player like Haaland, he's going to blank every single game week. Like that has been what has happened over the past few. But do we really think that Man City, a team like Manchester City, is going to continue to not score every single game week? I just don't think that would be the case. Raul or Morgan Rogers? Raul Jimenez, yep. Semenyo or McNeil? Has to be Semenyo. Wild Rage, nice to see you. Would you sell Foden and Havertz for Salah and Strand Larsen? Don't have money for Cunha. Yes, I would do Foden and Havertz to Salah and Strand Larsen if I was captaining Salah and if it was for free. Will Fabianski play? Don't really know, but I wouldn't be surprised if Areola comes back in the starting 11. Opinions on Sanchez as an FPL asset looking forward. I like it. I like Chelsea defense from game week 12 onwards. And it is also a defense that I will be targeting, so I don't mind it. Start Fabianski or Flecken. It will depend on whether you have Semenyo. I think I've answered this one a few times. I've had a hard time figuring out my captain between Mbumo, Haaland and Salah. I'll make it easy for you. If I had all, I would captain Salah. Lewis over Gabriel since I have Raya already in goal. Like, my honest thoughts is that Rico Lewis is not guaranteed by any means to start this week. Should I sell Martinelli to buy Bruno Fernandes? I don't mind it. Johan, nice to see you from Sweden. Who would you prefer to be your 3 forwards for upcoming games? Don't include Haaland. Alright. So from game week 12, who would I want in my forward line? First would be Danny Welbeck. It's the first one. Matthias Cunha is the second one. And then Chris Wood, I think I will keep until the Ipswich game. Let me just pull it up. I think the Ipswich game for Chris Wood is in game week 13, yeah. So I will have Chris Wood until game week 13, and then after that, I would probably go to someone like Nicholas Jackson or Alexander Isak or Ollie Watkins. So by that time, hopefully, things like the 4 yellow card suspension looming for Nicholas Jackson would have cleared up. And if that is the case, maybe I go for Nicholas Jackson. And then there's also time for me to assess players like Isak as well as Ollie Watkins. So this gives me time. So I think in the shorter term, it'd probably be Chris Wood, Cunha and Welbeck. And then from game week 14 onwards, when I sell Chris Wood, then he'll be one of the more expensive forwards. This is also a really good time to offload Chris Wood because it starts to get very tricky for them. Man City, Manchester United, Aston Villa, Brentford away is okay, but Spurs at home, like, Chris Wood is in incredible form right now, I have to admit, but fixtures bring form, and I do think, like, despite how well he's playing, with a tougher fixture run, maybe he doesn't score as consistently. Start Flecken or Fabianski. Right, so for those of you who are wondering whether I would start Fabianski or Flecken, it depends on whether I'm starting Semenyo. If you're starting Semenyo, then I wouldn't start Flecken, I would start Fabianski. Selling Raya for a different keeper, do you have any suggestions? My suggestion is not to sell Raya this week. Joha says, starting to love your content, right bench order. Rogers, Aina, Rico, Lewis. I'd actually reverse that a little bit. I go Aina first, then Rogers, then Lewis. Your bench, if that's your bench, it looks pretty strong, if I'm honest. Raya, start or Flecken? Probably Raya. But again, depends on whether you have Gabriel already, and if you're okay to double up on Arsenal defense. Ricky says hopefully Kevin De Bruyne starts so that he can help create chances of Haaland. That's another thing. Like, Kevin De Bruyne could be back, and if he starts against Brighton, that is honestly the ideal situation. I would take 60 minutes of Kevin De Bruyne against Brighton. I would take 60 minutes of Kevin De Bruyne. Ali, nice to see you from Bangladesh. Thank you for tuning in. Alex says, thinking of going Isak ahead of the Wolves boys. What do you reckon? He's on pens and has good fixtures. This is a good entry point for Newcastle assets. I'll agree. And I do think like Isak is also a player that is slowly coming into form. And all the other things that you just mentioned, like penalties, good for minutes, all these also play into whether he's a good asset. So I don't mind it. It's just a thought on the money that you're spending on him. Would it block you from other moves? Would it cause you not to have a premium in midfield and things like that? Later down the line, this will have trickle-on effects. So it's something you have to consider. Odegaard will not start. Is that the case? Is that the case? Not that I see though. Where have you seen that Odegaard will not start? Not that I see it. So until I see it, I think Odegaard. I mean, he was in the squad, right? Depends whether they want to risk him against Chelsea. Why would you go Salah over and Bumo? He has easier fixtures as well. I'm just trying to understand everyone's thoughts. I mean, it's just the strength of the attack. Like, would you rather back the Liverpool attack or the Brentford attack? Nikhil says, I want to fund Saka next week, dribbling to Saka, but for this week, Gabriel to Mazraoui. Next three Manchester United fixtures look good. I think the main concern, I want to sell Gabriel, that's one, because game week 12 onwards you want him. But the thing about Manchester United assets is you need to be sure that you're confident they will start the next three. And I say this because game week 12 and 13, they will be under a new manager. Start Gabriel or Romero. Romero is a bit of a doubt. But I do think it's a case where if he's fit, he'll start. So I may just go Romero, to be honest, and then have Gabriel first bench to come in if he doesn't start. Is Palmer going to start? We don't know yet. Is Wissa going under the radar? Yes, but I don't think that's wrong as well. Like, I don't think he's a pick that needs to be someone we monitor. What about João Pedro instead of Welbeck from game week 12 onwards? I think João Pedro is a good option because he has penalties. But the main concern for me from game week 12 is that do I think he will start and get 90 minutes every game from game week 12 onwards, or do I think he will be eased back in because he has just come back from injury? I think the latter is more likely, in which case I'd rather just go for Welbeck, who is someone who's been playing consistently and also in very good form. And also, if João Pedro is managed and he goes off the pitch, you also get a couple of minutes, maybe the last 20 minutes, which is generally when goals are scored, to get Welbeck on penalties for that period of time. So I will say I prefer Welbeck still. Double Arsenal defense, I think from game week 12. Now, I'm not sure how you guys are going to react to this, but I think from game week 12, I do think like double Arsenal defense is something I'm going to seriously consider. Because the fixtures do look good for them. By the way, thank you all for coming down early. Like, I know we are super early. The deadline is not for another it's not for another 4 hours, if I'm honest. So thank you all for coming down, for tuning in, chatting FPL, and playing along. It's really something that I appreciate that you guys do for the channel. Basilio says, front three Acuna, Wood, and Raul Jimenez this week. Do you think Raul is a sell from game week 13? Concern on his minutes, even this game week. So to start Raul this game week or Semenyo? I think I would go with that front three and I would start Raul ahead of Semenyo. But this is the thing with Raul Jimenez. Like when we bought Raul Jimenez, or those of you who bought him in game week 10 or 9, for example, it was always going to be the case that sooner rather than later, there will be games that Raul Jimenez blanks. And when he blanks, there's always going to be the looming threat of Rodrigo Muniz. Is Rodrigo Muniz going to displace Raul Jimenez? And that's just something that I guess we have to deal with moving forward with Raul Jimenez. Like the fixtures for Fulham are still pretty alright, such that you don't have to go out in a rush. The only concern is whether you are confident of his minutes. So I think for the time being still, if recent form is anything to go by, I still do think like Raul Jimenez will start the next few. If he continues to blank, then I think you need to reassess. So for now in game week 11, I don't think you need to sell him. I think it's fine to start him. Thoughts on Mbumo captain? Not something I would do, but he is one of those differentials you can consider. Son or Haaland captain? Son is the differential, Haaland is the safer one. Depends on what kind of FPL manager you are. I would go for Haaland. Valdemarson, Mavadidi, Valtface, and Konza on the bench. Should I transfer Konza? I mean, if they're on your bench and you don't need to start them, then I guess you don't need to make a transfer on them. It depends who's your starting 11 as well. Starting Fabianski ahead of Raya as I have double Arsenal defense. Yeah, I don't mind that logic as well. I have Welbeck, Jackson, Palmer, Rogers, Lewis, and Greaves, who I don't want to play. Should I free hit? I definitely wouldn't free hit. I would even play a less than ideal, play my player with a less than ideal fixture than free hit this week. I wouldn't recommend the free hit this week. Soap Martinelli, now that Odegaard is fit, and bought Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, Bruno Fernandes should be alright for the next 3. It's a good punt as well. I want to change Rico Lewis because my bench is bad, but my budget is 4.9 million. Your budget is 4.9 million, but there are good options at 4.9 million and below. There's 8 Nuri, there's Kirkes, there's Lewis Hall. All decent considerations for the next few. And I think Levi Colwell, like now in game week 11, doesn't have a good fixture. But from game week 12, he's going to be an option. So there's going to be a lot of cheap midfielders coming up as, cheap defenders coming up as good options moving forward. Brennan Johnson, a good investment now? Yes, I think for the price, I would still buy Brennan Johnson. Like if you guys want to go there. It's just that for the structure that I have and the plans that I have for the team moving forward, I probably would just transfer Johnson out for Salah in game week 12. I've got 3.1 million in the bank. Defense has Gabriel, Konate, Robinson, Van de Ven. Midfield is currently Winks, McNeil, Salah, Sangare, and Mbumo. What do you suggest? I suggest some midfield transfers. That's probably what I would do. Sangare, McNeil, these are players I think you can transfer out. Is it worth transferring Tottenham players in since they are playing Ipswich? Their fixture now in game week 11 is good, but you have to bear in mind that game week 12 it is Man City away. And as bad as Man City are playing right now, I don't think that is a fixture that you say we would target. So it really depends on your assessment of these two upcoming fixtures. If you view it as a block though, like in the next 6 or the next 5 or next 6, you're transferring them in for that kind of a time horizon, then I guess the decision is slightly easier and more straightforward. Solanke captain, what do you think? It's a bit of a differential. And I think on Solanke, I've seen a couple of you guys talk about him as a captain. I do think that he will start. I do think like he'll get very good minutes as well. And maybe one other thing that is good for him is that if Son's minutes are managed, which I think is what will happen, then for the last few minutes of the game, like maybe 10 to 20 minutes, you get Solanke on penalties. So, I mean, potentially on penalties. SSWS says, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Happy to help. Yes, Declan Rice is the one. Declan Rice is the one that's nursing a bit of an injury now. I have Haaland and Son. Who should I captain? I'm a bit worried about Son's minutes, but against a bottom table team. So I think the main consideration I would give to a Son versus a Haaland captaincy is, would I take Haaland versus Brighton for 90 minutes versus Son for 70 to 75 minutes against Ipswich? Who do I think scores more point with these two kind of considerations in mind? Like if you do think like over 70 to 75 minutes, Son is the one who will score more than Haaland, who has 90 minutes against Brighton, then you go for Son. Nicholas says, back from the job interview. Hopefully it went well. Any updates? Not that we have yet. We're super early. Do you think Madison will start? Feel like captaining him. I wouldn't go there. Thanks for the early stream. Thank you for tuning in. Semenyo or Ahmad for McNeil? Semenyo. I have Salah, Mbeumo, Semenyo, and Son, but Cole Palmer on the bench. Should I keep this or sub Cole Palmer on? I will start Cole Palmer. Actually, for your case, I would wait for more information on Cole Palmer because Semenyo on the bench is going to be quite painful. So I'll wait for more news on Cole Palmer. Mikalenko or Rico Lewis? I would start Mikalenko ahead of Lewis. What time is the deadline? It's not for another 4 hours, but we're starting really early because we're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers. So if you guys are watching and you haven't subscribed yet, we are inching closer and closer to 10,000 subscribers. So hopefully we can get there by the end of the stream. We're going to go on for another maybe 2 hours, so hopefully we can get there. What is your overall points? Let me just have a look. 637 points. 637 points and currently 111k in the world. Trying to creep into the top 100k, hopefully. With the... I look at my squad this week and I guess it's not super ideal, especially if Palmer doesn't play. Then I have Rodgers coming on for him, so not ideal. Like on paper, really not the best team, but hopefully it's good enough to get into the top 100k. That would be ideal. Favorite captaincy option, not for your team specifically, just overall. Salah, still Salah this week. Love from Ireland. Thank you for tuning in from Ireland. It's very nice as always to see where you guys are watching from. So please spam in the chat as well if you're watching or you haven't said anything so far. Let me know where you guys are watching from. I'm always keen to know. When will you bring back Saka on your team and who will you go for him? And I think Salah is coming into your team too. How are you planning all that? So next week, Salah will come back. I'll cover all this in the transfer plans video. But the plan is to sell Haaland for Salah. And Salah will come in for Johnson. And then later down the line, I will do Mbeumo to Saka. So for now, that is the plan. And when will I sell Mbeumo? Is in game week 14. where he starts to have Aston Villa and go on this slightly trickier run of fixtures. 14 also happens to be the game week just after Saka plays Manchester United, because Saka will play Manchester United in game week 13. Let me just pull up the Arsenal fixtures. Oh, sorry. Saka will play Manchester United in game week 14. So maybe in game week 15 is when I would bring Saka in. So for now, that is the plan. But I know that that would mean that I go without Saka for quite a while. So again, after the international break, I will reassess. But it also means that I will not have Saka for this Nottingham Forest game, which I do think is not the worst thing in the world. It's mainly the West Ham one here that makes me a little bit afraid, because looking at how West Ham are defending, it's absolutely shambolic. So yeah, this is the main one that if I am able to find a way to get Saka in by game week 13, I would try to do that to cover this West Ham fixture. If I remove Sangari and have 3.1 million in the bank, would Semenyo be a good choice? Yes, I do think he'll be a good choice. Hi Leon, what do you think about doing Haaland, Minte and Lewis to Cunha, Salah and 8 Nuri for a -4? I think because you have multiple issues, and Minte is also one of them, it feels a little bit more justified because you're addressing many different areas of your team as compared to just doing Salah, just as compared to just doing Haaland out just to get Salah, right? You're also addressing other areas of your team. So I don't mind overall these combination of 3 moves for a -4. I don't mind it. Gabriel, nice to see you. Should I captain Haaland or Son? If it was me this week, I would actually captain Son among the two. That's if you're feeling differential. And Gabriel, knowing you, I think you are a little bit differential. But I do think like Haaland is a safer pick. Sell Eze and Havertz to buy Bruno Fernandes Cunha with a -4 hit. Eze is out, so taking a -4 to replace him is dealing with an injury issue in your team, so I don't mind the -4. Havertz also is a bit of a doubt because of the injury or the kind of I think it was a gash or something that he picked up midweek, so he's also a little bit of a doubt. I wouldn't mind those moves. Is Lewis a sell this game week? Dallo or 8 Nuri? Lewis is a sell, but if you have bench cover and someone you can start ahead of Lewis, then I think you can wait one more game week to assess for other defensive options to go for. I think I'll gamble Captain Haaland regardless. I have Salah. Feel there's a high chance at least one goal for 8 to 9 points. That could be a rare differential if Salah blanks. Fair enough, Adrian. Oreo Hut says, I would sub 100 times to get you closer to 10k if I can. Well, thank you very much. That means a lot. That means a lot. Let me just have a look at how many subscribers we are on at the moment. Right, so we are on 9,890. So we need about another 100 subscribers. Feels a bit harder now. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get there. It's going to be close. So if you're watching and you still haven't subscribed, please help us to get there. Would you start Keane and Dominic Calvert-Lewin ahead of Rodgers this week? I would start Rodgers ahead of Calvert-Lewin, to be honest. Sell Foden for Bruno. I don't think you need to. Right, so all the countries are coming in really, really nice. Germany, Norway, Estonia. Very, very cool. Sydney, India as well. Very, very thankful for all of you guys tuning in. Why have you benched Lewis over Aina? I don't think Lewis will start, so that's why I've benched Lewis. Frankie says, thinking about taking a hit game week 12 to bring in Palmer. Should I drop Johnson or Eze? Problem with Johnson is fixture swings, but Eze will be back after the break. It could reinvigorate his form. I think in game week 12, if you want to bring Palmer in, I would prefer to drop. It depends on the injury situation with Eze as well. But for now, I feel like I prefer to drop Eze because of Johnson's form. And the fixtures moving forward after the Man City game are reasonably okay for Spurs. What do you think about Strand Larsen? I don't mind him as an option. It's just that I prefer Cunha then. And I think in terms of routes to points, Cunha has a little bit more. But Strand Larsen, I mean, Cunha, we think he's on penalties. We haven't actually seen Wolves take one yet or win one. So because of that, we can't really say for certain. But in our minds, at least, Cunha has penalties. And then he also has assist threat as well. And he's also on a couple of set pieces. So I think routes to points wise, Cunha is the one that is a little bit more like the one that I prefer. Eight Nuri. Oh, sorry, I missed a couple. I have Mazraoui, Porro, 8 Nuri in the starting 11, Vardiol and Aina on the bench. Do you think I should get Vardiol or Aina in for any of them? I would start Vardiol. So in that case, I think would I start Vardiol ahead of Smith Rowe? Smith Rowe plays Crystal Palace though. Very, very tricky. I think I would still lean towards Vardiol though. ahead of Smith Rowe. Thoughts on captaining Solanke? I don't mind it, and if this is a week that you want to go different, it's especially a good week to go different when there's no clear captain option. Bring in Cunha or Solanke. It depends how long you're gonna use the option for. If you don't mind keeping Solanke for the longer term, he has the great fixture now in game week 11, and then after you run into Man City, but if you're keeping him longer term, it's a little bit more justified. Super early deadline stream, yes, we are trying to hit 10,000 subscribers, so that's why we're mega early today. Do you think Lewis will start? My guess is no. Solanke, Salah, or Son captain. If I had all of those three, I would captain Salah. I think Lewis will start this game week as a midfielder. What do you think? I think it's possible. Like, the nature is that Lewis can play in so many different positions that I think it's completely possible. But my guess is still that he wouldn't, because Kyle Walker can just come in against Brighton. And you bear in mind as well that the flank that Rigo Lewis would play on, or Kyle Walker, for example, if he's the one who starts, is against Mitoma. So do you think that Pep Guardiola would prefer starting Rico Lewis against Mitoma or Kyle Walker against Mitoma? I would think it's Kyle Walker, despite how bad he's been. Thinking of bringing Delete in for Rico Lewis and playing him instead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think that's an okay move. It's just in terms of Manchester United defenders, I'm not sure if Delete has the most upside, but he does feel a little bit safer than Diogo Dalot at least, because he can play as one of those back threes when Amorim comes in from game week 12 onwards, if he does set up with a back three, and then now he's playing as a centre back as well in the back four. So I think the main concern for me about Dalot is that I don't know his role once Amorim comes in. Have Greaves, Eze, and Dunk. Planning to replace Eze next game week. Greaves and Dunk are sell though. I think Greaves is, but Dunk, if he comes back, you wouldn't mind starting him from game week 12 onwards. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a break and use the washroom. I'll be back in a little bit. Please do bear with me. I'll be back. All right. Don't forget the drink. Thanks, Ricky. All right. Where did we leave off? Is it only me, or is it more interesting when not captaining Salah or Haaland or the other premiums? I mean, obviously there's a bit of joy, I guess, in going slightly different, right? And if it pays off as well, like you just love those kind of moments. Captain Salah or Haaland, I would go Salah. Pick Cunha or Strand Larsen, I prefer Cunha. Sell Saka to Salah if Palmer is fit. I wouldn't sell Saka this week. Kenya, Kazakhstan, very, very cool. New subscriber, Mickey Moki Salopets. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Thank you for subscribing. Should I transfer out Haaland, McNeil to Solanke, Salah for a -4 and captain Salah? I think it's a bit more justified if you are captaining Salah. But it's still not a move that I'm very keen on this week. That's the truth. But if you feel like that's who you want to captain and you have a good gut feel on that move, I wouldn't put you off it. Starboy says, you've got a new fan from Kenya. Thank you very much for subscribing. Is McNeil and Watkins to Son and Cunha worth a -4? Wow. So you know what? I think yes, you know. I think yes. McNeil is playing. McNeil is a bit of a doubt, I think. Let me just double confirm that. He is a bit of a doubt based on the press conference yesterday as I was reading. McNeil is a concern, yeah. I mean, Sean Dyche didn't speak about it, but there are suggestions that McNeil has suffered a flare-up of his knee issue. That is what I read, and that is what is still the case. So there is a bit of risk. There is a bit of risk. Just wanted to double check since a lot of people were saying that potentially he was fit. Thoughts on taking a -4 in game week 12 to bring in Salah, Jackson for Haaland, McNeil, and then Saka in game week 13. I think that -4 in game week 12, if you intend to do it then, for a -12 already, you may as well just take the hit now in game week 11, if I'm honest. Because you're already selling McNeil and Haaland, and McNeil now in game week 11 is already a doubt. So I would bring that hit forward. So yeah, good defenders for the upcoming fixtures are Nuri, Veltman, Kadioglu, Romero, Porro, Dalla, Mazzarri, Hall, and maybe Colwell. I would tend to agree with that. I wanna say add Reece James to the list, but we know with Reece James how injury prone he is, so I'm not even gonna include him in that list. Is Son, Bruno, Mbumo, Palmer, Salah, and overkill in the midfield? I don't think so. I think there are a couple of drafts. I think if you're wildcarding this week, it's very possible that you go with that midfield, if I'm honest. I want to have a midfield of Palmer, Saka, Bruno, Rodgers, and Johnson. Is this better than buying Salah? I don't think it's a must to have Salah now in game week 11, but I think in game week 12 you will want Salah against Southampton. Brennan Johnson, captain. Is this the best time to use the free hit? I don't think so. Planning to get Salah next week and sell Haaland this week. Who should I choose to replace him, or should I keep him until next week? You have Cunha and Raul Jimenez. I think you keep Haaland. I think you just keep Haaland. Yes, a disappearing act to go to the toilet. Okay, guys, I have just discovered, I just received a notification that we are at 9.9 now. So let me just put it up on screen in case we get anywhere close to it. So we are on 9,907 subscribers now, and we're gonna stream for about another 1.5 hours, 1 hour and 45 minutes. So hopefully we can get there. We are just shy of sorry, we are about 900 100 and what, my math is failing me. We're about 92 subscribers away. So hopefully we can get there, and I'll leave it at that. I just have the screen prepared. My math is failing me now. Eight Nuri in for Rico Lewis or Mikalenko. I prefer to sell Lewis. Ronaldo or Messi? This one is going to divide the opinions. Okay, but if I have to choose one, I'm in the Messi camp. One free transfer, considering Gabriel to 8 Nuri, so I can do Foden to Salah next week. What are your thoughts? I have no other defensive premiums. I don't like that move, because I think from game week 12 you will want Gabriel, so I don't like that move. Was it a mistake to sell Foden for Bruno this game week? I think I wouldn't do it, but now that you've done it, it's also not the worst thing in the world. Like, Bruno will have 3 good fixtures, and he's one of those Manchester United assets that I think will be quite secure for minutes over the next 3. Salah demolishing Villa tonight. I hope not. I can guarantee you that I will be trying my best to sleep through the Liverpool game, and it really helps that in Singapore the Liverpool game will be at 4 a.m. So it really helps that it'll be in the AM. Eddie Cassie says, I have Matthias Nunes of City and McNeil. Do I play one of them, or could I get Semenyo or Rodgers for McNeil? I got 0.1 and 2 free transfers. I'm a new subscriber. Thank you for subscribing. I would go for Semenyo. I would go McNeil to Semenyo. Thoughts on Son captain? I don't mind it. It's a bit of a differential move. I don't mind it, especially if you're chasing rank or chasing your mini league. What are your thoughts on my wildcard team? Fabianski, Dalot, 8 Nuri, Varial, Mbumo, Garnacho, Johnson, Palmer, Salah, Cunha, Vissa. Bench is Pope, Jackson, Hall, and Gabriel. Firstly, I think I wouldn't have Pope as the backup keeper. I would have someone like Fabianski and then Verbruggen, potentially. And then in terms of defenders, I think Dalot is fine for game week 11, but I'd be worried about his minutes moving forward under Amorim. That's one. 8 Nuri is fine. Vardio, I'm not so sure if you need to go for him with the fixtures Man City have moving forward. Mbumo is fine. Garnacho is another player I'm worried about moving forward. What kind of a role will he play once the new manager comes in? Johnson's fine. Palmer's fine. Salah is fine. Cunha is okay. Vissa is the one I think you could go for another player. And especially if you're on a wild card, I think because you can cater for a bit more rotation, maybe you can start with Welbeck already and then bench him this week because he has Man City, and then play one of your... You have Jackson on the bench as well. You could play Jackson here against Arsenal. But yeah, Gabriel I think is okay as well. Lewis Hall, fine for a bench pick, so I don't mind it. Jeffrey says Rodgers or Hall, who to start? I would start Lewis Hall. Do I free hit in game week 12 to add Salah in? I wouldn't free hit in game week 12. Is De Bruyne back? He played the last 5 minutes of the Man City game. He played the last 5 minutes. So my guess is that he will be in the squad. Whether he starts or not is another question. Is Palmer able to appear? I'm hoping he's able to appear. Who is priority, selling Havertz or Calvert-Lewin? Has to be Calvert-Lewin. Best Bournemouth option has to be Semenyo. Cheery FPL, nice to see you in the chat. Hope everything is going okay. Everything here is going alright. We are trying to hit 10,000 subscribers. So hopefully we'll get there soon. Haaland to Salah for a -4. I wouldn't do that. Ronaldo all day. Fair enough. I won't get into a bit of a debate on that. From Australia, I think I have to play Lewis with Robinson and Rodgers on the bench. Thinking of moving to Vardiol, potentially waiting until next week to look at Dunk. I don't think you need to move to Vardiol, to be honest. Robinson, and Rodgers on the bench. I think I play Robertson ahead of Rico Lewis this week, honestly. Solanke captain is a bit of a differential. If you want to go there, I don't mind it. Brawl to Strand and Mikalenko to 8 Nuri. Nah, those feel like sideways moves. Thank you very much, Toby. Play Wood or Semenyo? I can't say bench Wood, so I will always say play Chris Wood. It's easier to say bench Semenyo than to say bench Chris Wood. Gabriel Lewis, Gabriel. Bruno Fernandes, captain. Again, he's one of those differentials. This week is a week where it's going to be split. If it's a week where you want to go different, I don't mind it. Will you play will you play Fabianski, Aina, or Lewis Hall benching Cells for game week 11? Or Cells, Hall benching Aina? Wait. Yeah, I wouldn't double up on the Nottingham Forest defense this week. So I think I would go Fabianski, Aina, and Hall. McNeil to Bruno or Foden to Salah. This will stop me from a Palmer transfer. Then I don't think it's what I would do. In fact, I just keep Foden. McNeil to maybe a cheaper player so that you can get Palmer, because game week 12 you will want him. You will want Cole Palmer. Should I sell Welbeck, having a home fixture over Larson? Welbeck is a player I'm potentially going to buy in game week 12. I'll speak about him very, very soon in the next few videos, but Welbeck is a player I'm strongly considering from game week 12. So now if you have him already in game week 11, either you bench him or you start him. I wouldn't sell him. What do you think about Rico Lewis to Hall this week? I don't mind it. I don't mind the move. Would start is the way I'm leaning, but bench 10 points Semenyo last week, dreading the same. Yeah, I mean, it's never going to be easy, especially with the weeks moving forward. There will be bench points coming up. You just have to accept that will be the case. But all we can do pre-deadline is try to set up with a team that we think is the best for points. And I do think like you will probably start Chris Wood ahead of Semenyo. Isaac says, didn't know I wasn't subbed. I was enjoying the stream. Also a 5.2 defender for Lewis. Thank you for subscribing. 5.2 defender for Lewis, there's many options. Darlow, for example, if you're confident of his minutes moving forward, is the most expensive one. And then there is the cheaper ones, 8 Nuri, Lewis Hall, Milos Kerkez. Brighton defenders only come into the question next week. So that's where I would lean. Welbeck or Larson? Longer term, I prefer Welbeck. But Larson has a better fixture now in game week 11. Latino Dialect says, thank you for the stream, bye and have fun this game week. Thank you for tuning in. You were in the chat for quite a bit, so thanks for spending some time here on your Saturday before the deadline. FBL Worm says, hello mate, a little bit late. We're actually early. Are 1 week plans before wildcards worth it anymore now that transfers stay over the wildcard? This is exactly the point that I was saying. I don't think it is that much of a rush to make a transfer before you wildcard, especially now with the fact that you can roll transfers. I think it could even be more advantageous if you roll your transfer. Definitely something to think about. Should I do Watkins to Isak for 3 weeks? I think it's okay, but generally I would try to look a little bit longer term. I would try to look a little bit longer term in terms of transfers. Not sure what to do with Maddison. 2 free transfers. Tempted to hold and hope he starts. The thing with Maddison is I feel like in tougher fixtures, Pat Matassa is preferred. In the easier fixtures, I actually do think like Maddison kind of is playing in the smaller spaces. The style of play suits him a little bit more. So he may be the one that is given more freedom to play against the slightly weaker opposition. So I think he could be a case where you just keep him and hope he starts against Ipswich. Konate, Robinson, Hall, João Pedro. Help me in picking 3. Sorry, not João Pedro. Pedro Porro. I would start Pedro Porro. I would start Robinson. Then it's one of Konate or Lewis Hall. Maybe Konate. Thanks, Leon Wood started this. Okay, fair enough. Trossard, Calvert-Lewin or Buonanotte. Which one of the 3 to bench this week? I would bench... It's either one of Calvert-Lewin or Buonanotte. I want to say Calvert-Lewin because it seems as if he wasn't pictured in training. Then the man says, play 3 of Gabriel, Lewis and Kerkez, Pinnock and Mikalenko. 3 of them. I start Gabriel, Kerkez, and either one of Pinnock or Mikalenko. Maybe Mikalenko. It depends on your keeper. If Flecken is your keeper, then I go Mikalenko. 175 likes. That could actually be a record. I think this is a record. Thank you all for helping to drop a like on the stream. I really appreciate it. Is it worth to get any Spurs attacker for a -4? The thing is they run into Man City in game week 12. So only if you have a longer term plan for them and you plan to keep them, then maybe it is worth it. Is it too late to sell Haaland by game week 12 if he keeps his poor form this game week? I think game week 12 is still an okay window to sell Haaland, and that is for now when I plan to sell him. Talking about bench points, I had both Semenyo and Aina on the bench last week. I know. Would you put McNeil or Rodgers on the first place of the bench in case Palmer wouldn't play? Rodgers. Should I start Henderson or Raya this game week? I honestly don't think Crystal Palace keep a clean sheet, but I have to go with him, assuming that you have Gabriel in your defense, for example. Finn Jensen says, would you sell Palmer for Mbumo this week? Thing is, you would want Palmer from 12 though. Is there another way you can get Mbumo? Hey mate, Captain Foden, good record against Brighton or Solanke, 5 million overall rank. Need a differential captain. I prefer to captain Solanke over Foden, if that's what you're asking. Garnacho or Johnson for this game week? Garnacho. Nicholas, nice to see you. Thanks for coming down. Konate, Smith Rowe, Madison. Choose any two. Madison and Smith Rowe. Play 3 of Vardy, McNeil, Raul Jimenez or Welbeck. I'd say Vardy, Jimenez and Welbeck. Pickford is my keeper, so Pinnock I guess. Yeah, fair enough. That's fine. Isaac says Robinson or Udogi for Lewis. Prefer Robinson. Haaland or Son captain. It depends on what kind of FPL manager you are. Vignesh says, have 2 free transfers. Should I sell Haaland and Semenyo to Cunha and Salah, or Dominic Calvert-Lewin to Larson and roll the other? 2 free transfers, and I think Haaland. No, but you're selling Semenyo. I don't really like selling Semenyo this week. Then maybe I prefer the Calvert-Lewin to Larson move. Anarchy says, how important do you think team value will become this season? The values are quite insane. I'm already at 104 million. Probably will be key for wildcard in the second half of the season. Exactly that. I think it's mainly whether you can get to your preferred wildcard team in I think the windows for wildcard, for the second wildcard, will probably be pretty close, I imagine, to the time we get it. Because we have already, the main window for the first wildcard was game week 6. I'm not so sure we can keep it up without using the wildcard for super long. It also really depends on how many transfers you've saved up. It's very, very team dependent, but I do think like later down the line, players will start to get very, very expensive. So team value is going to be very important for your second wildcard. What do you think of Foden captain, as he has scored 6 goals in the last 4 times at the MX? I mean, I see all these things about the past performances and things like that. Like I usually tend to take it with a pinch of salt, because the current form of the team is also really important. And right now, the truth is just that Man City are not performing at the level that we know that they can. So I don't dare to say that I would captain Foden, because in the past he scored 6 goals in the last 4 times at the MX. Like, I would try to look a little bit more at the circumstances surrounding this Man City team at this current moment. Haaland, Solanke or Son as captain. I would put it in the order of Haaland, Son and then Solanke. Aina, 8 Nuri, Robinson and Gabriel. Which 3 to start? I would start 8 Nuri, Robinson and 8 Nuri, Robinson and Aina. I don't mind benching Gabriel against Chelsea. Haaland, Solanke, yeah, answer that one. CLS Fantasy says, supporting from Hong Kong, thank you very much for tuning in. Who is the best captain outside of Salah and Haaland? I think it's Son. I think I will go Son, but bearing in mind as well that he's probably only going to get 70 to 75 minutes is what I imagine. Is Rodgers going to be in your team for the long term? I think for the foreseeable next few game weeks, yes. He is in my plans to keep him. Flecken or Fabianski depends on whether you're starting Semenyo. If you're starting Semenyo, I will start Fabianski. If not, then I'll start Flecken. Dario says, I've just sold Foden, so he'll probably get a hat-trick. Mbumo or Cunha vice-captain? I'll go Mbumo. Isaac says Rogers to Semenyo or the transfer to wildcard in game week 12. It depends how much you have. Is Rogers going to be in the wild card for game week 12? Probably not. So I don't mind selling him now because it's more likely as well that you have Semenyo in your game week 12 wild card. I don't mind making the transfer now because it also gives you one extra player to play now in game week 11. I'll make the transfer now. Then the man says, ain't the only problem with Man City Haaland's finishing. Foden's been great creating chances and Haaland getting big chances. Yeah, I mean, that is one, but I think overall, structurally, the team is also a little bit different. And also, the fatigue, the amount of games they've been playing recently. I've seen a couple of tweets going around from Man City forums, as well as people who are slightly closer to the club, saying that the general feeling in the Man City camp is that players are tired, etc. So I would just try to take these things into account as well. Start Semenyo or Smith Rowe. I would go Semenyo. Why play Gabriel even though he has a tough match and not play Lewis? Because I think Lewis is probably not going to start. And I think Brighton away is also a tough fixture for Man City. Thoughts on Brennan Johnson captain? It's very differential. I don't think I would do it. But I can understand why people would go there. Alright, this is the first time that I've caught up with the chat. Okay, we've been going on for... Let me just check how long we've been... We've been streaming for quite a while now. Let's just have a look. Alright, we've been streaming for about, I think, close to 3 hours now. Or 2.5 hours. So, we'll try to go on for a little bit longer. Try and push on for the 10,000 subscribers. We are now at 9,931. So, very, very close. We're getting there. If you guys haven't subscribed, please do help me out. We are 69 subscribers away. So please help me out and hopefully we can get there before the game week 11 deadline. Transfer out Palmer to Bruno. Then do you have a plan to get Bruno back in? Because I think, Palmer back in, because from game week 12, I think he goes in a very good fixture run that you would want him. Should I transfer Haaland and Van der Ven to Hall and Solanke or Cunha? Nah, I just keep Haaland. If you want to sell Van der Ven, like that's a separate transfer, which I think is fine as well. Hi Jason, nice to see you. Nicholas says, bro, should I do Smith Rowe or Hudson-Odoi? I would start Smith Rowe ahead of Hudson-Odoi this week. Any intention to get Manchester United players if they perform this week? The honest answer is no, because game week 12 and game week 13 is when they would have their first few games under a new manager, and I don't really know how that's going to go. So I do think like it is a little bit risky. I want to see how they set up as well, but unfortunately that doesn't give us enough time because 12 and 13 is the good fixtures. After that it starts to get tricky. So I don't think I would be getting Manchester United players, and I need to focus on getting Salah into my team from game week 12 as well. Have Haaland, but very tempted to captain Solanke. You could do that. You could do that. Start Mikalenko or Milenkovic. Milenkovic. Should I play McNeil and sub Rodgers, even though Rodgers might do something against Liverpool? I would play Rodgers ahead of McNeil. Who are you most worried about? Because there's a bit of doubt as to whether McNeil is going to be fit or not. You could obviously take the risk that you start McNeil and then hope he doesn't get any minutes at all, and then Rodgers comes in as your auto sub. Who are you most worried about that you don't own? It has to be Mohamed Salah for me, and unfortunately I don't think I will own Mohamed Salah this week. That's just the decision that I've stuck with. There have been a few questions about free hit. I'm a first year player, so any advice when to use it? So in general, later down in the season, there will be blank game weeks. And blank game weeks are basically game weeks where teams have postponed fixtures because of the fact that they're involved in other competitions as well, whether it's the EFL Cup, whether it's the FA Cup. So in past few seasons, the blank game weeks have been pretty significant because many of the teams are involved in that, and there's a FA Cup weekend that fully clashes with the Premier League. But now they've kind of changed things, and it's a case where there will be lesser blank game weeks now this season. So regardless, I still think like using the free hit in the blank game week would be the most useful for this season. But in the past few seasons, there are also situations where using a free hit in a double game week could be more advantages. So I wouldn't nail it down to say there's a specific time to use your free hit. The general answer would be when your team needs it. But for most teams, that would either be blank game week or double game week. Start Fabianski or Raya. It depends on whether you want to double up on the Arsenal defense against Chelsea. Start Lewis or Vandenberg. Vandenberg. In Game Week 12, would you sacrifice Foden or Semenyo to Saka? Foden. Minnie says, hey bro, remember me, it's Phil. Like Phil as your username. 3 free transfers. Intend to bring Palmer back next game week. Fair enough. 0.7k to go. Not sure if we can get there. I think it's starting to get a little bit more tricky. It's going to be very, very close. We'll see. Philip says, hey man, long time. Yeah, nice to see you again. It's been a while. How's your FPL season going so far? Finn says, I fear Mbeumo this week, but if I save my transfer, I will have 3 free transfers. Hope Palmer will play and Mbeumo will not hurt me too much. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have him, you have to just see whether your other players are able to cover the lack of Mbeumo. Like for last week, I didn't have Salah, but thankfully Aina was able to cover with the haul that he got. Albeit that was pretty lucky, I have to hold my hands up and say that. But yeah, if your other players are able to cover, maybe missing one player or two is not the worst thing in the world. Start Wood or Raul Jimenez. I have Lewis Hall, so not so sure if I want to start Wood against him. Fair enough. Like if you want to bench Chris Wood for Raul Jimenez, I wouldn't put you off it. It's just that I personally would still start Chris Wood. Because with the form that he's in and Nottingham Forest playing at home, I still fancy them quite a bit. If I don't use the wildcard in Game Week 12, when do you think is another good timing to use it? Great question. I think Game Week 12, I will definitely have a wildcard draft out coming soon. But if you don't use it then, and if you feel like your team is fine, I actually think that the next time to use it is all the way in maybe Game Week 18 or 19, just before you get your second wildcard. Essentially just before this current wildcard runs out. Because after Game Week 19, your first wildcard will be... after Game Week 20, your first wildcard will be irrelevant. So you need to use it before then. And I do think like if you don't use it in 12, the next reasonable window is actually delaying it all the way until before it expires. And it sets you up very nicely as well, because then your second wildcard can be saved for much later, maybe past game week 30. Cunha to deliver this game week. Let's hope so. Did you hear anything about a potential Bowen injury? There are some gossips about it. I'm asking only because Mykolenko could be better to play if it's true. Okay, well, unfortunately, Bowen... Okay, unfortunately for Mykolenko, but good for Bowen owners that Bowen is fine, right? Let me just pull up the tweet. Right, so this is the tweet that Bowen is with the squad, basically. Like, he's seen training with the squad, and I don't think there is much worry about whether he's going to play. So I would think that in that case, it makes Mykolenko slightly worse of an option. But yeah, I mean, I think Bowen starts. I don't think the rumours had really much kind of weight to it. I'm not even sure where the rumours came from, to be honest. Who do you think is consistent in points between Welbeck and Evan Nielsen? I want to say Welbeck. Brennan Johnson, captain, would you? I wouldn't do that. Mykolenko or Rogers if Palmer doesn't play. If Palmer doesn't play, then you go Rogers. Any news on Bowen? We just saw the clip. When João Pedro is available, what are your thoughts on his expected minutes and Reuter's expected minutes? I think both of them compete for the number 10 spot. So I think the only one that is safest to go is actually Welbeck. Not that I think João Pedro won't start, but I just do think like he might be managed. His minutes might be managed, and I do think I'm a bit more confident of Welbeck starting moving forward from there. Who to captain, Haaland or Solanke? Depends again on what kind of FPL manager you are. Lewis or Konza? I really don't think Lewis will start today. But Konza has Liverpool. I mean, you could take a chance that Konza starts. But if you have free transfers, I don't mind using it on Lewis. Is Fabianski nailed? Not by any means. He's not nailed for sure. Solanke or Son? I would say in terms of who you would have in your squad for a longer period of time, I would imagine that it's Solanke, and it's only because Son is much more expensive and there are other premiums in midfield that you want to go for, like Palmer, Salah, Saka, for example. And Solanke could very well just be your Spurs attacker to cover the Spurs attack. So I do think like if keeping for the long term, I do think Solanke is the one I would go for. Did Chelsea purposefully leave Palmer out of the training video? We never know, right? I have no idea what kind of games the managers are playing nowadays. Like, it's just so hard, especially with Arteta. Like, the lengths to which he goes just to try and play a little bit of mind games with us FPL managers as well as the opponents, I think is something we've never seen from any other manager before, if I'm honest. I want to transfer out Haaland, so suggest me Son, Solanke, Palmer, Jackson, or anyone. I think the only player that I would be willing to transfer Haaland out for is Salah. And it's only because you would probably captain Salah if you're bringing him in. If not, I think I would keep Haaland. If not, I think I would keep Haaland. Play Fabianski or Flecken. Again, this one depends on who you are starting. If you have Semenyo, then I would start Fabianski. Play Milenkovic or Gabriel. I'll play Gabriel for the bullet header that is going to come against Chelsea, even though I'm a Chelsea fan. Arteta should just never show up. I mean, the guy just tells lies. Thank you so much for answering without a tear. Yeah, for sure. All good. Thank you for tuning in. Leave Davies to Mazraoui for a free or roll, and play Rico Lewis. I don't think I'd be confident to play Rico Lewis, to be honest. I think I do leave Davies out for a defender. I'm just not so sure Mazraoui is the one that I would go for. There's Aït-Nouri, there's Lewis Hall, there's Kirkers, for example. Vardy to Cunha and Bowen to Johnson, or Haaland to Cunha and Bowen to... I think I prefer Vardy to Cunha and keeping Bowen as well. Should I start Fabianski or Henderson? Henderson for sure. Play McNeil or Raul Jimenez. I would go for Raul Jimenez. 0.1 in the bank, 1 free transfer, back 3 of Gabriel, Mikalenko, Lewis. I have Archer in front, tempted to do Gabriel for Mazraoui and Archer for Strand Larsen for a -4. Just do Gabriel to Mazraoui, hope Lewis starts. I wouldn't sell Gabriel this week. I honestly wouldn't sell Mazraoui this week. I wouldn't sell Gabriel this week. That's what happens when you stream for too long. All the players get mixed up. Lewis to Mazraoui or Aït-Nouri. I prefer Aït-Nouri. Raya or Fabianski. Depends on whether you want to double up on Arsenal defense. Mikalenko or Gehi, who to start? Milenkovic. This is precisely my point. Milenkovic or Gehi. I would go for... I think Milenkovic. I think Fulham's attack against Crystal Palace. I do see some goals there for Fulham. Pickford or Raya? I mean, the Everton defense is also horrendous. But I think I'm a little bit more confident of starting Pickford than I am of starting Fabianski, if that makes sense. Happy to help, Mikula. So close to 10k subscribers. Let's have a look. Let me just check. Right, we are at 9,942. We are slightly above 50 subscribers away from 10,000. So let's see if we can get there. It would be incredible if we can. It would be incredible. Let me actually just map out. I think what could be on some of you guys' mind is my future transfers. So I think maybe I map out my transfers for those of you guys to see. So let me just pull up plan.fpl. Want to take out Luis Diaz. Who should I get? I'd actually keep Luis Diaz this week. Right, let me pull up the Plan FPL website. Okay. Alright, so this is the Plan FPL website. So basically this is my team for game week 11. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Alright, so game week 11, this is the team. I think I roll. Right, so game week 12, this is where I have 2 free transfers and I have 2.3 million in the bank. Excuse me. So for this one, the plan is to sell Haaland, okay, and sell Johnson as well, because in this game week he has Man City away. So I'll sell Haaland and I'll sell Johnson. And I'll go for Salah and also Danny Welbeck. So this is the plan for game week 12. This would also mean that I have to find a defender to play, right? It's whether I play... Trent is going to be my, I guess, a differential-ish kind of a defender. Gabriel against Nottingham Forest. And then Aina and Rico Lewis is going to be either one of them that I start. So it depends on whether I'm confident Rico Lewis is going to play or not. But I don't think I'll take a -4 just to replace them this game week. And then in terms of the attackers, Chris Wood has Arsenal. So I'll drop him down to the bench. And I'll go Rodgers and Semenyo again. So again, this is one of the main reasons why I don't really want to sell Rodgers or Semenyo this week. So by not going for Salah now, sure I may miss out on some points, but maybe I'm able to make it up with the fact that I'm able to rotate Chris Wood down for game week 12. And then come game week 13. So I've switched over to game week 13 now. Chris Wood has Ipswich. This is the week where Rodgers has Chelsea. Semenyo has Wolves. It's very nicely rotating, right, such that I can bring Chris Wood in. So honestly speaking, I like the rotation that exists between Rodgers, Semenyo, and Chris Wood. And that's mainly why I want to keep these 3. And then in terms of the transfers that I want to make from game week 13 onwards, it will be to sell Trent Alexander-Arnold down to one of those cheaper defenders. For now, because Chelsea's fixtures start to look very good, I also have more time to assess them, whether I want to bring Levi Colwell in. If not, the initial plan, which I'll just put in place here just for illustration purposes, is for 8 Nuri down to... Trent down to 8 Nuri. And then Aina has Ipswich. I will start him ahead of Rico Lewis here. Right, so team looks pretty good. In fact, Verbruggen comes in from game week 13 onwards against Southampton, and this team looks pretty good. I like it. Right, so 1 free transfer already used in 13. Come to 14, you would see here that defense starts to be a bit of an issue because Aina has Man City, and am I confident that Rico Lewis will start? So the plan is to make a transfer to replace my defenders now. So this is the week where maybe I could sell Rico Lewis and bring in potentially a Levi Colwell if I want to make a defensive transfer. In the attack, it's Rodgers in for Semenyo. And then Chris Wood will have Man City. This is the time that I would sell Chris Wood. And the replacements I'm looking at, also for the time being, is Nicholas Jackson. But he's also on a 4 yellow card situation. But he has Southampton here. So say, for example, I'm confident enough that Rico Lewis will start against Nottingham Forest. I can make this attacking transfer and then go with this team. Come game week 15, this is when Mbumo leaves the team for Bukayo Saka. So that's the plan. Rough plan all the way up till game week 15 is as such. And it's also mainly why I'm going to need so much of my rotational players here. So for now, this is what I have. Let me know what you guys think. I'll be keen to know. But it is a very, very rough plan. There's no kind of plan that is set in stone at the moment. Alan says, if you have Raya and Gabriel and Fabianski, which goalkeeper would you start? I would start Fabianski and Gabriel. I wouldn't go double Arsenal defense. Thoughts on double Manchester United defense for the next 3? I don't think I would go so far as to do that. I think the fixtures are good, but I don't think I would go so far as to double up on their defense. Aid-Nuri in for Lewis or Mykolenko? Aid-Nuri in for Lewis. I prefer that. Luis Diaz is so unsure on minutes. But he's just come off a hat trick. I can't see Arne Slot benching him, if I'm honest. I captain Johnson, fair enough. Let's take a look at the poll. It's got about 1,400 votes now. Salah is, as expected, the one who is getting most of the votes. But I think it's quite split as well. Like Haaland is not too far off at 31%. Is McNeil starting? He is a bit of a doubt for the next few game weeks. Sorry if replied and didn't catch. Should I transfer Aid-Nuri in for Lewis or Mykolenko? I have Trent and Gabriel. I would do Rico Lewis out for Aid-Nuri. Haaland / Minte to Salah and Cunha for a -4. I have Konsa playing for Minte at the moment. Konsa against Liverpool. I think I may take a -4 in your position because Minte is a bit of a doubt as well. Will Ahmad start? He got a bit of a knock, right, before the game ended. Before the United game ended. I am thinking of going super rogue and captaining Aid-Nuri. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Foden to Fernandes. Not a must this week. Good plan there. Yeah, I mean, we plan on the moves, but I do think like it will have to change as we go along. So we'll see what happens. But for now, temporarily, that is the plan that I have. Haaland and Garnacho to Salah and Solanke worth a -4. I don't think so, especially this game week where Garnacho has Leicester. Alex says, would you bring in Isak for Haaland this week or wait till next week? I would wait till next week. I don't think Nottingham Forest is such a good fixture that you need to rush and get Isak in. Everything says to go for Salah captain, as Aston Villa have been terrible, but something tells me Haaland will haul this week. We'll see, but that would be a great outcome for those who are captaining Haaland and those who don't have Salah. Do I do -4 for McNeil out? If you need to start him, then yes. Diaz rarely gets 90 minutes even when performing good, but let's hope he starts. Yeah, it's true. I mean, the nature of the fact is that there's so many attackers, good attackers that Liverpool have, that they're at liberty of swapping and managing the minutes. And from, I guess, a coaching standpoint and a managerial standpoint, like that actually makes sense. It's just that from an FPL sense, it's not great because we want them to play 90 minutes, we want them to score goals and things like that. Haaland versus Solanke for captain. This one for me depends on what kind of FPL manager you are. If you want to go different and you want to captain Solanke, I won't put you off it. I won't put you off Solanke. Start Gabriel or Watkins. Don't have double Arsenal defense. I generally would start the attacker, so I go Watkins. And he's so expensive, I don't think I'll be benching Watkins. Start Lewis and hope or transfer him out to Aid-Nuri. If it's for free, I would go for Aid-Nuri. Will you start Lewis over Mykolenko? Probably not. Probably not. Right, let me reply some of the tweets. Let me reply to some of the tweets. Alright. Okay. Apologies for that. Let me catch up with the chat. If I haven't answered your question yet. By the way, if you guys have anything on Twitter that you want me to look at, you want to screenshot your team, I've put out a tweet. Let me just go over to Twitter. If you want me to have a look at your team, all you have to do is go over to Twitter and look for this tweet. I've pinned it on my profile, and you can go ahead and send your teams under, whether it's wildcard teams, free hit teams, etc. Just head on over there, drop it down below, and I'll be monitoring this thread as we go along. Right, so for now, let me just answer the questions that I haven't gotten to so far. Okay. Gabriel or Watkins? I will go Watkins. Start Lewis and... Okay, answered this already. Captain Cunha? I wouldn't captain Cunha, but he's one of those differentials that I know people are looking at. Best 3 attackers under 7 million in your opinion? From game week 12, it's going to be Welbeck, Cunha, and either one of Chris Wood, or... I want to add Strand Larsen to the mix as well, but I'm not so confident that we should be doubling up on Wolves attackers. So yeah, that's the attackers that I think under 7 million I would target. What is Haaland/Salah captaincy like if you compare the top 10% versus overall? More Salah caps in the top 10% and over Haaland. I think overall it's Haaland, yes, I agree. And top 10% potentially Salah. I think I'd agree with that. Had a sleep and decided to captain Solanke rather than Son. I hope that one works out for you. Does Palmer look to start? No news on that yet. Raya, Gabriel, Kovacic out for Fabianski, Injury, Salah for -4. Not so sure about selling double Arsenal defense just before game week 12 in the fixture swing though. Palmer to Salah, Haaland, Solanke, found it out, yes or no? I think no, because from game week 12 you will want Palmer. Would you play Fabianski or Sells today? I would play Sells. Have you checked my team? Yes, I've had a look at it. FPL Diamond, we will have a look at that very, very soon. Transferring Wood or Cunha, I would prefer Cunha. Start Fabianski or Verbruggen, I would start Fabianski. Alright, let's have a look at Twitter. Let me just go on to FPL Diamond's team. Okay, so this is FPL Diamond's team. Fabianski, Kirkes, Lewis, and Robinson. Rogers, Keane, and Greaves. McNeil is a bit of a doubt, to be honest, but I think I would start McNeil ahead of Rogers and hope that McNeil plays. Captain Haaland, I think I would captain Salah if I had both. But yeah, aside from that, I think it's fine. I think your team looks pretty alright. It's just a question of whether you prefer to start Rico, Lewis, or Keane. But it's not as if the Everton defense is one that you'll be desperate to start. Like you're fine benching Michael Keane. So I think I may just go with this lineup that you mentioned. I think it's fine. Alright, if you guys have any other questions for your teams, just drop it below the tweet. I'll continue to monitor it, but if not, I'll be back to the chat in a bit. Just looking at Twitter now to see if there are any team leaks. We're pretty early, so I don't imagine there will be that many. Couple of predicted lineups have come out, but not that we give too much weight to them. Yeah, nothing for now. Not for now. have a sneaky feeling Haaland will do better than Salah this week, but I can't find the the captain Haaland right now. Yeah, I mean everything points to Salah captain, right? But if FPL if we played long enough and if FPL is from the last few seasons is anything to go by, if there's a week that Haaland is going to score a hat trick and Salah is going to blank, this is going to be the game week. It has to be. It has to be. I mean, that's just how FPL works, right? But honestly speaking, because of how Liverpool are playing right now and how Man City are playing right now, everything just doesn't point to that. So we'll see what happens. The ball is round, so anything can happen. Terry, thank you for subscribing. Salah, Cunha, and Son, who should I captain? And what is your best front three forward line without Haaland as I've sold him? So the best front three for game week 11, I would say is Cunha, Solanke, and either one of Chris Wood or Raul Jimenez. For me, that is the best front three for game week 11. Best Calvert-Lewin replacement, already have Cunha. Tricky because Welbeck is who you'd want after game week 11. Raul Jimenez, but that's not the best as well. Like, he has risks associated with him. Potentially Dominic Solanke, but he runs into Man City in game week 12. Best Spurs midfielder if you can't afford Son has to be Johnson. All good FPL diamonds. Sorry that took a while. ALFPL, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for coming down to the stream. Just send your team on X. Alright, we'll go over to Twitter in a bit. Is Solanke a good captain? If you want to go different, I don't mind him. Will De Bruyne play today? This one we don't know. And honestly, we will never know. Haaland will respond in a big way today, hopefully. Nice to see you, Tiger and Guna. FPL chat says, hey bro, will you roll and start McNeil/Smith Rowe or transfer McNeil out for Semenyo and start him? I would start Smith Rowe. And then I'll roll. Thinking of doing a -4, I'm assuming, to bring in Salah for McNeil and Solanke for Watkins. I don't mind that move because moving forward, I don't see that you'll be playing Watkins in many game weeks, or that you would want to be playing Watkins in many game weeks. Best player for 1 week punt in the midfield under 9 million, Bruno Fernandes. You're so close to 10k. Are we? Let me just have a look. Guys, we are 30 subscribers away. We're 33 subscribers away. We're so close. Like, if you guys are watching and you're not subscribed, please do help me out and hit the subscribe button. We are very close to 10k subscribers. It would be a dream if we can get there on stream. That would be the best, because then I can give you guys my raw thoughts and opinions, and also thank you guys personally on stream. So let's hope we can get there. Alright, let me head over to Twitter, because I think a couple of you guys have sent in your teams already, so I'm going to have a look at them. Right, so Roger here, Edison, 8 Newry, Rico Lewis, Trent, Garnacho, Palmer, Rogers, Bumo, Havertz, Haaland, captain, and Solanke. On the bench is Vandenberg and Dibbling. I think it's fine. The only concern here is whether you want to start Vandenberg ahead of Rico Lewis, but it's close. I don't mind starting Vandenberg in this situation. Lewis in this situation. Eres Cohen, Flecken, Gabriel, Trent, Dallo, Bumo, Salah captain, Fernandes, and Palmer. Calvert-Lewin, Solanke, and Cunha. You even have Munoz first bench. I like this. And this team looks pretty good. Salah captain. Yes, this is probably what I would go with. Looks pretty good. What do you think? Already done Calvert-Lewin to Larson. Rolling 2 free transfers. Plan to do Haaland, Foden, Rodgers to Jackson, Palmer, Saka next week. Yeah, I think this team looks fine. This team looks good. You know what is the best thing about FPL now? The best thing about FPL is that there are many different teams now. That there's no real template. Like some drafts have Haaland, some drafts have Salah, some drafts have both Salah and Haaland. Haaland and Salah. And it's perfectly fine. Like it could all work out differently. But there's so many kind of different outcomes that could happen. But that's the best part. Like there's no template that people are following. Everyone is just doing their own thing. I love the fact that is the case. So I guess kudos to FPL Towers for their pricing this season. It's fantastic. But yeah, I think this team is pretty good. Looks good. Let me just come back to the chat for a little bit. I hope I managed to get to most of your teams that you sent in. Start Aina or Mikalenko. I will start Aina. Antonio replacement with 6.3 in the account. Already have Raul, Jimenez and Haaland. 6.3 is quite tight in terms of budget. So maybe Raul, Jimenez, but it's not ideal, but you don't have a lot of money. Maybe if you are okay to go slightly earlier, Welbeck, but then he would have a less than ideal fixture now. But from game week 12, you would be alright to start him. Toby says, Golden Goal has helped to tag you to subscribe here. Well, thank you very much. I'll head on over and thank him as well. That's a very, very nice gesture. Keep liking the stream. Very, very nice. ALFPL is an up-and-coming content creator. Oh, nice. I'll go and check out his YouTube or his socials in a bit. Shout out ALFPL. Should I remove Vista and put in Wood for a -4? I don't think so. I don't think I would take a -4 to do that this week. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all very, very much. Have you played your wild card? Not. I've played it in game week 6, so the second wild card will only come after. So I've already played it. Is the app down? Is it? Sell Smith Rowe or Rodgers for Johnson. I think moving forward, I prefer Rodgers as an option than Smith Rowe. Haaland to Cunha this week and dibbling to Salah next game week to avoid a hit. Nah, probably not. I'm fine to hold on to Haaland and give up on not having Cunha. In fact, I'd rather you take the hit now. It's either you take the hit now and then bring Salah in. If not, you just wait until game week 12 to do it, and you just stick with this team that you have. Alright, I'll check the spam as well. Thanks for watching, Nicholas. Appreciate that. Hope you're feeling better as well. Get well soon. Alright, most of you guys just sent your teams. Also, we are 20 subscribers away. We are very, very close. So I'll come back to it as I'll start to monitor it as we get closer to 10,000 subscribers. But this is going to be a huge, huge milestone for the channel. So it is really, really exciting. Hopefully we can get there. It would be really, really incredible. So we'll leave it at that. Let me get to the teams that you guys have sent in. So Nico, you have Raya, Trent, Mazraoui, and Vardiol. And then Johnson, Mbumo, Semenyo, Salah, vice captain, Raul Jimenez, Haaland, and Cunha up front. This team looks good. This team looks great. And I would really only make one change to this, and it's the captaincy. I would captain Salah over Haaland. But I wouldn't put you off it because I'm also on Haaland captain. I'll be hoping Haaland as well. Alright, so this is from Cole. Pickford, Vardiol, 8 Nuri, and Dalot. Salah, Son, Palmer, Mbumo, Johnson, Solanke, and Cunha. Gabriel first bench, and then Chiwome. I think this team is good. In fact, you have 3 Spurs attackers. You have 3 Spurs attackers here. Your team is quite differential, if I'm going to say, because I don't think a lot of people have 3 Spurs assets. And I agree with starting Vardiol ahead of Gabriel, because Vardiol does have a little bit more of an attacking threat, I feel. Somehow he just pops off with those goals, you know. Just a thing with Vardiol this season. Alright. Mikalenko ahead of Lewis. Yes, I would do this. Haaland captain again ahead of Salah. I think it's very interesting. It was very interesting to see that a lot of people who have both are still captaining Haaland. Yeah, this team is, I guess, in need of a defensive transfer. If you do have a free transfer lying around, I think I'll make a defensive transfer. Either one of Faltface or Van de Ven. I think it's slightly easier to sell Van de Ven. So I'll probably do Van de Ven to a maybe 8 Nuri and then start him ahead of Konza. That's what I would do for this team. Right, back to the chat. Back to the chat. Start Wings over Rodgers, probably not. Dave says, just subscribe, thank you very much. Should I sell Palmer, Smith Rowe, and Lewis for Son, Bruno, and Hall? Palmer, Smith Rowe, and Lewis for Son, Bruno, and Hall. I think you don't sell Palmer because from Game Week 12 you will want him. I don't mind starting Smith Rowe this game week as well. So really the only one that you really need to transfer out is Rico Lewis. Oscar says, haven't played my wildcard, not sure when to use it as I have a 97% team rated on Fantasy Football Hub, so no real need to use it soon. I think if you don't use it in game week 12 next week, I think you can delay it all the way until it runs out, right? Around game week 18 to 20, that kind of a period, just to set your team up for the longer term, and then maybe you can even delay your second wildcard to an even later game week. What was your points total last game week? So for game week 11, I got 63 points, and I had Flecken with 4 points. Like, honestly, Flecken could have gotten a lot more, but that's something for another day. He was also on 12 points, you will remember. So then after each goal that was scored, he dropped 4 points. So from 12, he dropped to 8. And then another goal, he dropped to 4. It could have been more, but I'm not complaining. Can't have everything. So Aina 15-pointer really saved me. And then Trent and Gabriel blanking. Mbumo also blanking. Palmer blanking against... this one he was playing against Manchester United, he blanked. Johnson and Rodgers coming away with a goal each. That Spurs and Aston Villa game turned out really well for me, albeit that I didn't have Solanke. And then Cunha and Chris Wood with one return each. And then Haaland 4 points with the blank. Semenyo 10-pointer on the bench, but it is what it is, right? We can't have everything. So this was how I did for game week 10. But looking ahead to game week 11 now, this is the team, and I still think that I'm going to keep. I still think I'm going to keep hold of Haaland as my captain. And something else I want to say as well is that as we're getting closer to the deadline now, you guys probably had set up your teams from earlier days in this week, like maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, you already had your bus team set up. If you're only wanting to change now, I would say that go with the decision that you think will sit better with you. The fact that you had your captain's armband, for example, if you always had your armband on Salah and you're only wanting to change to Haaland now, I would just keep it on Salah, because I think it would sit better with you that he was your captain for majority of the week, and then you're not only swapping it last minute. Because I tend to feel as if that your gut feel from the start is what would sit better with you as you pass the deadline and as you're watching the game. So just a bit of, I guess, psychology, but I don't claim to be anything close to Ross FPL Raptor. He's the real psychology expert. Ah, Cole, you're a Spurs fan. I was wondering why you have 3 Spurs assets. This could be a field day for Spurs though. We'll see. Haaland or Son captain? So for this one, again, Gabriel, I think this one, it really depends on what kind of FPL manager you are and also what kind of situation your team is in. If you don't mind going differential and you are in a place where you're chasing rank, you're chasing mini league, this is a good time to go different because there's no clear-cut captain. But if you want to go safe, then I don't mind captaining Haaland. My team was the one with Van de Ven out, worth a -4 to get 8 Nuri. I think yes. I would do that. Why isn't my team popping up since I've sent it a long time ago? Maybe you can send it again and I'll have a look. We'll go back to Twitter in a bit. Kovacic for Garnacho or Johnson? Johnson. Ollie's Football says it's just sent then. We'll go back to Twitter. In a little bit. Should I play Semenyo or Smith Rowe? Semenyo? Cunha and Wood or Jackson and João Pedro? Which combination is better for the longer term? What's the 3? It's very interesting that this question has come up quite a bit during the stream. Who are the 3 best forwards to have, cheap forwards wise? I would have Cunha, long term, I would have Cunha, Chris Wood and Welbeck. That is where I would go in terms of cheap forwards. My team is rated 100% on Fantasy Football Hub. That's incredible. What do you think of captaining Cunha and vice captaining Johnson? I don't think I would go so rogue. I don't think I am that kind of an FPL manager, but as I've said, like this is the week to go different. If I wasn't, I guess, trying to protect a bit of the rank, I may have found myself in a position where I don't mind going a little bit different. Okay, let's head on over to Twitter. Let's check on the subscriber count. We are just above 10 subscribers. Let me just try and make this a little bit bigger. We are just above 10 subscribers away, so I am hoping that I won't miss the moment. I'm hoping that we won't miss the moment. But let's head over to Twitter first, alright? Let's head over to Twitter. And check out some of your tweets. But if you're watching, there's 292 of you guys here. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please do help me out and hit the subscribe button. We're very close to that 10k mark. Alright, Let me try and find the one that has... If I've missed your screenshot, send it over again so that it pops up in the earlier feed. Okay, let's go with Bill's one. So Bill has Captain Salah. Oh, Ahmad against Leicester. But I do think like he's nursing a bit of a knock though. But would I leave him last on the bench? Probably not. I think I might have him first bench and then Gabriel second bench, Van de Ven last bench. But if not, I do think like this is a starting 11 I will go with for this team. McNeil to Bruno Fernandes, Chris Wood to Solanke, Captain Solanke. I'm not so fond of selling Chris Wood. I'm not so fond of that. Selling McNeil I'm okay with. So it seems as if you have quite a bit of money in the bank. I think I just do McNeil to Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, I think I just do that. 4 free transfers. Flecken, Lewis, Gabriel, Mazraoui. 4 free transfers. I think if you have 4 free transfers, this is a week that I would try to get Spurs assets in, because now you have quite a bit of wait. You guys are 10k? Are we on 10k subscribers? Let's see. Are we? Thank you all so much. Thank you all for 10k subscribers. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, we smashed it. Where have all of you guys come from? Did someone send you guys from another stream? Woo. Thank you all for golden goal. I'm gonna head on over to the stream in a bit, but thank you all so much. What a man. What a man. Let's let me just thank Golden Goal first, because he sent all of you guys over. I have to drop him a note. But alright, let me just, before I drop him a note, let me thank you guys for this achievement, because it couldn't have been done without all of you guys. So actually, a couple days ago, I received a notification from YouTube saying that on this day, which is I guess 2 days ago, on Thursday, 3 years ago, was the first time that I uploaded a video. I'm losing my words now because I'm getting emotional here, but 3 years ago, on the 7th of November, was when I uploaded my first video. And then 3 years later, we are at 10k subscribers. So I think a lot of support from you guys have really helped me to hit this channel, given me the support to continue producing content for you guys. So I think overall, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you. I know I'm not the best content creator out there, but I think the aim is just to play FPL along with everyone, have a good time, have fun, and play the game that we love together. So it's a joy to make content for you guys and play along. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll say that I have this, I guess you can call this a popper. So I guess this is the first way that we're gonna celebrate on stream. So I'll be honest, I don't really know how this works, because the ones that I'm used to are the ones with a string, and then you pop it open. But this one seems as if it's gonna really like cause quite a bit of a pop. So let me just make sure it's safe. So we're gonna pop it. Let me just read the chat first. You guys are incredible. You guys are incredible. I mean, the chat is going crazy. Chat is going crazy. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. Let me also just drop a note to Tom. So I'm sending a message to Tom on his stream. If you haven't, go check out his channel. Big up Tom. Alright, if you haven't, do check out his channel and also subscribe to him. So I've just sent him I've just dropped a note in his chat to just thank him for sending over all of you guys. But let's do it, okay? Let us pop the I guess you can call this a party popper. Shall we do it? Shall we do it? Alright, let's go. I have no idea how this is gonna... Well, if I'm not able to do it, this is gonna be so anticlimactic. But let's see. Man, this is harder than expected. Oh! Thank you all so much. We've done it. Now I'm gonna have to clean this up in a bit, but thank you all so much for all the support, for everything that you guys have done for the channel. And yeah, I hope that FPL Game Week 11 goes good for you guys. But honestly, however it goes now, I'm just so glad that we've hit the milestone. And yeah, I cannot be more thankful. So let's leave it at that. Alright. Do we go back to the deadline stream now? Do we go back to the deadline stream? Or shall we call it a day? Let me just read the chat. There's lots of things going on right now. There's lots of things going on. Let me just scroll back to when you guys told me that we hit the milestone. Ah, man. I actually went on for so long without even figuring it out. My word. Big up to Tom. Big up to Tom from Golden Goal Fantasy Football. He's also another channel that is really putting in the work and the content this season. So maybe you know what? Let's kind of go over to his stream as well. Let's go over to his stream. Oh, Golden Goal Fantasy Football. Let's go over to his stream. Let me just get the ads out of the way. But go over to his stream. Like if you're watching here on this channel, go over to his stream and just let him know that FPL Consult sent you, and help me to thank him for sending over all of his viewers. Alright, so head on over there. I'll cue you guys in. And let's just spam in the chat. Spam in the chat to thank him. please help me out. Please help me out and drop it in his chat, alright? Yeah, consult rate, go in there and thank him, okay? Let's go, let's go, let's go. Thank you all so much for helping me to do this for him as well. He's also a creator that has put in a lot of work, so I think it's incredible, right? And it's really nice that also we are kind of supporting each other. So let's see where we go from here, alright? I think we can't go back to the deadline stream anymore, right? We can't go back to the deadline stream. All we are doing right now is just celebrating, alright? So let's go. I'll leave it at that. Let me just show you guys my team. Okay, let me just show you guys my team before we log off for the day. So the team is as such. Okay, it's Flecken in goal. It's Aina, Trent, Gabriel, and then Mbumo, Johnson, Palmer, Semenyo. Mbumo is still my vice captain. I don't think I'll switch that at any point. Then it's Cunha, Haaland, and Chris Wood. Haaland is still going to be my captain. I don't foresee at any point in time that I would be making this move from now until the deadline. I don't think I would do Haaland to Salah. I'll still just stick with Haaland, and then I can go ahead with the plans that I have from game week 12 onwards, which are already mapped out. Alright, so the bench is still the same as is. Verbruggen, Rogers, Lewis, and Greaves. Don't think I'll make any changes. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you all so much for coming down. And this has to be one of the best streams that we've had on the channel so far. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for being part of this historic stream as well. Before I leave, I want to give you guys the free memberships, because I've been saving up the memberships to give to you guys. Because every month I can give a free membership to 5 people. So I'm going to just give it into the chat right now. So YouTube will just automatically allocate it to whoever is in the chat. So if you're still in here and you're still watching, this could go to you. So I'm going to just give out all the free memberships that I can right now. Alright, so let's go. Membership gifting. So I'm going to gift 5 of them now. I'll gift it in batches of 5. Right, so Oliver, Lloyd, Ellie Mac, Reese Soprano, and also JT. Congratulations for the 5 memberships. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys feel free to use all the perks, alright, and just enjoy it overall. And let me just gift out the last 5. So, Burana, Cryzon, Pulse Driver, JS, Good Panda, and also Radu. Alright, so congratulations to all of you guys who got the free memberships. Thank you for tuning in. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. Alright, I'll see you guys again very soon. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, thank you all for tuning in. And I wish you all the best for game week 11. Bye-bye.